listeners! Ready to dive into another episode of Comparing Countries with your favorite duo? Oh.
Hey everyone, Leo here, ready to rumble. Mira, you look suspiciously awake today. Did you finally switch to espresso?
Oh, Celia. I'm still a tea devotee, but I did have a rather eventful trip to the grocery store this week. Well.
Oh, do tell. Do you finally attempt to make sushi and set off the smokel arm again?
Worse, Leo, worse. I decided to be adventurous and buy some dragon fruit. Sounds harmless, right?
Dragon fruit. The fruit that looks like it belongs in a sci-fi movie. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, apparently I have no idea how to select a ripe one. I got home, cut into it, and it was completely flavorless. Oops.
The great dragon fruit let down. I can picture you now staring at it in disbelief. It's happened to all of us.
It was like biting into slightly crunchy water. I felt so betrayed by this exotic fruit. I wanted a vibrant explosion of taste. Ouch. I never know quite couldn't taste. Ouch.
Sounds like a stand-up routine waiting to happen. You know what they say, always trust a comedian over a dragon fruit seller.
I should add fruit selection to my list of skills I lack. But hey, at least it makes for a good story for you folks on YouTube, right?
Absolutely. If you guys are wondering what this has to do with comparing countries, well, sometimes life gives you flavorless fruit, and sometimes it gives you fascinating cultures.
And speaking of fascinating, today we're tackling two countries that might not be on everyone's travel radar, Chad and South Sudan.
Chad and South Sudan. Prepare yourselves for some geographical and cultural deep dives. It's going to be fun.
We'll try to figure out which place has better music, which place has the coolest animals. Wow.
And of course, the all-important question, which place would win in a staring contest. Who?
You're incorrigible, Leo. But seriously, we're going to delve into the nitty-gritty. Economy, culture, the whole shebang.
Buckle up. So, buckle up, folks. Grab your hopefully flavorful snacks, and let's get started. Remember, you can comment on YouTube as well.
And don't forget to check out Jarfei for more details after the podcast. They've got tons of info for intrepid travelers.
Indeed, this podcast is made possible by the amazing team at Jarfei. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Leo. Let's kick things off with the basics. Let's dive into the general security and crime rates.
Sounds like a plan, Mira. Let's get into it. I've got some jokes to crack.
Ready for another adventure? Today, we're bravely venturing into Chad and South Sudan. I hope you've packed your courage alongside your sunscreen.
Courage and maybe a good sense of direction, Mira. Leo here, and I'm wondering, are we talking Dodge, Scorpion, or negotiate tribal dispute levels of danger? Because my travel insurance definitely has limits.
You always make me laugh. Well, since Jarfei is supporting our podcast, we can at least get good travel advice before we accidentally wander into a Scorpion convention.
Scorpion convention, wow, I didn't know that was a thing. We should pitch a reality show. Scorpion socials, I can see the YouTube comments already.
That would be a hit. But seriously, let's talk about safety. What are we really looking at with Chad and South Sudan?
Okay, so Chad and South Sudan. Security-wise, let's just say you won't find them topping any world's safest countries lists anytime soon.
Is it all doom and gloom? Or are there pockets where you can relax without looking over your shoulder every 2 seconds?
It's less relaxing on a beach and more assessing our escape routes. Unfortunately, armed conflicts and political instability are major factors. Especially in certain regions.
Hello everyone, Mira here, ready to rumble in the jungle of geopolitics. I've got my safari hat on, metaphorically speaking, because today we're tackling Chad and South Sudan.
Hey, Mira, safari hat. More, safari hat. More like a mosquito net knowing our luck. But yeah, buckle up, folks. We're diving into general safety and crime rates in Chad and South Sudan. Should be a laugh riot.
Oh, Leo. Always the optimist. But seriously, safety is no joke. especially in these regions. So, let's start with Chad. What's the vibe there, Mr. Observational Comedian?
The vibe? Well, picture this vast deserts, nomadic tribes, and a government that's, let's say, enthusiastically managing things. Translation: petty crime in cities, banditry in rural areas, and a general sense of watch your back.
Sounds like a scene from a cowboy movie, but with camels instead of horses. So, if you're visiting, keep your valuables close and maybe learn a few phrases in Arabic or French. It might charm the bandits.
Arabic or French? Good call. Or maybe just carry a lot of coffee. Bribe them with caffeine. But seriously, Chad has seen its share of political instability, which tends to trickle down to security issues.
Political instability is putting it mildly. It's like a roller coaster with the brakes cut. Now, let's switch gears to South Sudan. How's the safety situation over there?
Oh boy, imagine Chad, then crank up the dial to 11. Civil war, tribal conflicts, humanitarian crisis. It's a tough place, Mira. Forget pickpockets, you're talking about something way more serious.
That's a serious understatement. It's heartbreaking. South Sudan, unfortunately, isn't exactly topping the list for tourist destinations anytime soon. My heart goes out to the people there.
Absolutely. If you're even considering going, check travel advisories, hire reputable security, and understand the risks, and maybe donate to a charity while you're at it. It's general fair that's really important.
Speaking of charities, that's really key. It's not just about personal safety, but supporting the communities too. And Leo, you're right, research is vital before you even think of traveling. Also, a podcast, supported by Jet Off AI, is for you, so continue to listen.
Exactly. But hey, we're comedians, not travel agents. So let's try to find some humor in this. Maybe we should start a worst-case scenario travel guide?
How to survive a civil war with just a smile and a Swiss Army knife. I can see the book cover now. But let's be real, the safety situations in both Chad and South Sudan are no laughing matter.
Nope, but awareness is the first step. Knowing what you're getting into is half the battle. And maybe packing an extra large mosquito net, just in case.
So, if you're looking for a relaxing vacation, maybe stick to the beaches of Bali for now. But, if you're feeling adventurous, do your homework, stay informed, and respect the local culture.
Respect the local culture, pack bug spray, and maybe learn how to say don't shoot. In a few languages. Just kidding mostly, but seriously, stay safe out there, folks. We love you.
And if you like what you're hearing, hit that like button and subscribe. Sharing is caring, especially when it comes to staying informed. Don't forget our studio is Jet Off AI Studios.
Yeah, like and subscribe. It's like giving us a virtual high five. And Mira, I think we've officially depressed everyone. Ready for the next topic? Maybe something a little lighter?
Good to know. I'd hate to end up on someone's most annoying tourist list. That's not something you want to appear in. Oops.
Agreed. And remember, a smile and a friendly attitude can often bridge cultural gaps. Even if you don't speak the local language.
A smile is universal. It's like the Dutch tape of human relations, it fixes everything. But what about specific safety concerns for women travelers?
Unfortunately, women travelers might face additional challenges, such as harassment or safety concern in areas.
That's awful. So, what precautions can women take to stay safe?
Traveling with a trusted group, avoiding traveling alone at night, and being aware of the social norms for women in that region.
It's awful that those steps had to be taken, but safety first always. Shifting gears slightly, how does political stability affect general safety?
Political unrest can definitely increase the risk of violence and instability, especially around elections or periods of heightened tension.
So always something. So, staying informed about current events is absolutely crucial.
Absolutely. Checking travel advisories from your home country and monitoring local news can help you stay informed and avoid potential danger zones. Plus, it makes for great conversation starters.
Hey, did you hear about the political situation? Instant icebreaker? Well, okay, I'm kidding, but seriously, knowledge is power.
Exactly. So, while Chad and South Sudan definitely present safety challenges, being informed, respectful, and prepared can help you navigate them successfully. and maybe even have a few laughs along the way.
As long as we don't laugh too hard at the wrong mints. I can see myself giggling at a serious ceremony. I would get in trouble.
Well, Mira, maybe we should start a YouTube channel series laughing our way out of trouble, wow. But seriously, stay alert and informed.
Oh, that would be hilarious. For now, I think this is all we have to say about safety,
Totally agree. Let's transition to another topic here. I'm ready to compare another thing.
Well, since we're diving into security and crime, let's talk about something a little more nuanced: political stability and social harmony. What do you say, Leo?
Absolutely, Mira. Political stability and social harmony. Now that's a comedian's playground. I mean, look at some countries you can't tell if you're watching a political drama or a reality show. Let's see how these two stack up.
Right? Well, Chad has seen its fair share of political turbulence over the years. Coups, rebellions, it's been quite the roller coaster, hasn't it? Whoa.
Roller coaster is an understatement, Mira. It's more like a demolition derby with political parties. Seriously though, Chad's had a tough time establishing long-term stability, which affects everything from foreign investment to daily life.
And social harmony. With diverse ethnic and religious groups, it can be a bit of a tightrope walk. You've got tensions simmering beneath the surface, right?
Exactly. When you have different groups vying for power and resources, social harmony can feel like a distant dream. It's like trying to conduct an orchestra where everyone's playing a different tune and half of them are out of key.
Highly incorrigible. But you're right. South Sudan, unfortunately, hasn't had it any easier. Independence in 2011 and then boom. Civil war.
Talk about a rough start. It's like winning the lottery and then immediately getting robbed. The conflict in South Sudan has been devastating, creating immense humanitarian challenges and making political stability almost impossible.
Right. The humanitarian crisis is just heartbreaking, and rebuilding trust after such widespread violence is a monumental task. I mean, how do you even begin? Whoa.
One joke at a time, Mira. But seriously, it's a long and painful process. Think about it, how can you have social harmony when so many people have lost loved ones, only sense of security? It's tough, even for a comedian like me to find the funny side.
True, it's almost impossible to joke about, but it's definitely something to be aware of if you're thinking of moving there. If you're planning to work with NGOs or peaceful-ized initiatives, understanding this context is crucial. Wow.
Absolutely. And remember to do your research, if you want to know more. Jetofe, I is a good place to start, right?
So, for expats, this all translates to needing to be incredibly adaptable, culturally sensitive, and aware of your surroundings. You can't just waltz in expecting everything to be smooth sailing. Ooh.
Adaptable is key, Mira. It's like being a chameleon in a political landscape. You need to be ready to change your colors depending on who you're talking to, what's going on.
And patience, Leo. Patience. Things don't change overnight, and progress can be slow and frustrating.
Patience is a virtue, Mira, especially when you're dealing with political systems that move slower than a snail on a treadmill. But hey, at least it gives you time to perfect your observational skills. Aha!
Speaking of skills, it's also important to connect with local communities, build relationships, and listen to their perspectives. Understanding the nuances of social dynamics can make all the difference.
Definitely, it's like learning a new language. You can't just rely on a phrasebook. You need to immerse yourself in the culture and listen to how people actually talk. Otherwise, you might end up accidentally insulting someone's grandmother.
Okay, Leo. No insulting grandmothers. You're right. Also, if you are moving there for work, make sure your organization has strong security, protocols, and contingency plans in place.
Safety first, Mira. It's like packing your bags for a camping trip. You don't just bring marshmallows, you also bring a bear whistle and a first aid kit. Wow.
So, to sum it up, Political stability and social harmony in Chad and South Sudan are complicated, to say the least. But with the right mindset, preparation, and a healthy dose of respect, expats can navigate these challenges and make a positive impact. Wow.
Complicated is an understatement, Mira. It's like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube while riding a unicycle in a hurricane. But hey, at least it's never boring. You can find all the information about this and much more at Jetoff, eh? Don't forget to visit the site. Oh.
A sewer full of crocodiles, probably. So, what does this all mean for someone thinking about moving there? Is it safe to assume daily life isn't all sunshine and rainbows?
Well, if you're hunting for stability and predictability, maybe start with I don't know Sweden. Daily life involves navigating socioeconomic struggles amid ongoing tensions. That's the daily special.
Not exactly selling postcards there, Leo. What about social harmony? Are different groups getting along, or is it more of a constant tug of war?
So, harmony, there's another tough punchline. In both countries, ethnic and regional divisions can add fuel to political instability. That's the plot twist. It's like hosting a party where everyone brought a different playlist and wants to be the DJ.
Sounds like a recipe for a headache. So if you're moving to Chad or South Sudan, you need to be super aware of these dynamics, right? Do your homework. Neo, let's dive into the exciting world of economics. Today's adventure takes us to Chad and South Sudan. It's gonna be a financial roller coaster.
Chad and South Sudan, huh? Well, Mira, buckle up because I suspect this roller coaster might have a few missing safety bars. We're diving into some seriously challenging economies.
Think of it as the ultimate financial survival game, Shang. So, when you imagine Chad, Leo, what's the first thing that pops into your sharp, observant mind?
Mira, honestly, camels, and maybe someone trying to sell me a slightly used, possibly stolen radio. I'm just picturing those vast landscapes and thinking, low overhead cost, highness levels.
See, Leo, that's why I love your brain. You skip straight to the quirky essentials. But seriously, Chad's economy is heavily reliant on oil, right? What happens when the oil prices do a little dance?
Ah, yes, the oil price charge, as I like to call it. When oil dips, Chad's economy does the limbo. It's almost entirely dependent on that black gold, which is a bit like putting all your eggs in one very volatile, fossil fuel-powered basket. Ouch.
And South Sudan? They're also super dependent on oil, but throw in a whole heap of political instability and infrastructure challenges. It's like a recipe for, well, not economic success, that's for sure.
Nope, it's more like a recipe for economic chaos with a side of infrastructure. What infrastructure? Seriously, getting anything done there is like trying to build a sandcastle during a hurricane.
Leah, your analogies are priceless. So, if someone's thinking of moving to Chad or South Sudan, they should pack their survival skills into very flexible budget, right? Wow.
Absolutely. Back your haggling skills, your patience, and maybe a solar-powered espresso machine because finding decent coffee might be its own adventure. The cost of living. Cheap if you don't mind living like you're camping.
So, let's talk about specific costs. I mean, rent, groceries, transportation. What are people realistically looking at? Paint us a picture. Oh, wise economic guru.
Okay, so rent. Well, expect to pay a premium in N, DJ, Amina, or Juba for anything vaguely resembling Western standards. Groceries? Imported goods will cost you an arm and a leg. Local food is cheap, but limited. Transportation? Mostly informal and potentially terrifying.
Terrifying transportation, that's a great bad name. So, local markets are key for affordable groceries. Time to dust off those bartering skills, huh? Oh!
Mira, your band names are always gold. And yes, local markets are essential. Brush up on your French or Arabic, and prepare to haggle with gusto. It's less shopping and more gladiatorial combat for that last slightly bruised manga.
Okay. But what about job opportunities? I mean, is there even a job market for expats? Or Are we all signing up to be volunteer camels? Aha!
Whoa, job opportunities are scarce unless you need work, diplomacy, or oil. And even then, competition is fierce. So, unless you're bringing some seriously specialized skills to the table, maybe rethink this career move.
If you're not in the aid or oil sector, you're basically relying on remote work or bringing your own business. Sounds intense.
Yep, remote work is your best bet. Or, become a travel blogger documenting your hilariously challenging life in Chad or South Sudan. Content goal, my friend.
That's actually brilliant. Diary of a slightly mad expat surviving on mangoes and hope. I'd read that. So, overall, would you say these countries are for the financially faint of heart?
Mira, if your budget is thinner than my patience with slow Wi-Fi, maybe pick a different destination. These aren't countries for casually dropping by. These are for serious adventurers who are ready to embrace the hardship.
So, what's the takeaway here? Maybe visit as a tourist, soak in the culture. But don't plan on retiring there unless you're independently wealthy and enjoy a good challenge.
Exactly! Unless you're secretly a billionaire who's always dreamed of living in a place where the power grid is more of a power suggestion, maybe stick to the Mediterranean.
Love it. Well, there you have it, folks. A financial tour of Chad and South Sudan. Pack your sense of humor, your bargaining skills, and maybe a personal generator. That's all for this topic.
And maybe a camel, just in case. Onwards? Wow.
Okay, Leo. So let's dive into where folks can hang their hats in Chad and South Sudan. From what I hear, it's not exactly a 5-star hotel situation everywhere. More like an adventure and lodging.
Mira, you too kind. Adventure and lodging sounds like a polite way of saying, hope you like roughing it. Seriously though, accommodation in these places is definitely more basic than, say, downtown Manhattan.
Totally. In Chad, you're looking at mainly guest houses or small hotels in the bigger cities like NDJ and Mina. Think charming but rustic? Maybe BYO mosquito net?
Mosquitoes? More like BYO entire anti-insect force field. And in South Sudan, especially Juba, options are even more limited post-conflict. It's often aid workers or those affiliated with NGOs. Scoffed and I was scooping up what little is available.
If you're dreaming of a Chad eat, pray, love moment in a boutique hotel, you might need to lower those expectations a tad. Focus more on the eat. The food is amazing.
Indeed. Eat, pray, find a decent bed is probably more accurate. And remember, folks, safety first. Always vet your location, especially in certain areas. We'll talk about safety over on Jet Off AI, so be sure to check it out.
You might also find some compounds or secured living areas, especially if you're working for an international organization. Think gated community, but make it practical.
Practical is the keyword, Mira. Don't expect sprawling lawns and pristine pools. More like functional security and hopefully running water.
And for those longer stays, securing a lease is a whole other ballgame. Get ready for some serious negotiation and potential language barriers. Well, it's like a real-life treasure hunt.
Treasure hunt where the treasure is just a place to sleep. Bureaucracy can be a beast, so patience is a virtue. Maybe bring a translator or local fixer along to smooth things out.
Speaking of smooth, don't expect smooth roads leading to your accommodations either. Four-wheel drive might be your new best friend. Bumpy and dusty.
Bumpy and dusty is an understatement. More like hold on to your teeth kind of driving. And make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape. Breakdowns aren't fun when you're miles from anywhere.
Now, let's talk quality. Luxury is probably not the first word that springs to mind when describing Chad or South Sudanese housing. Think basic amenities and maybe a generator for when the power goes out.
Generator? That's like saying maybe a slight chance of sunshine in Seattle. It's a necessity, not an option. And keep in mind, reliable isn't usually an adjective associated with local power grids.
True, reliable might be overstating it. But hey, think of it as embracing the off-grid lifestyle before it was cool. Candlelit dinners every night.
candlelit dinners until you realize you can't see what you're eating. Invest in a good headlamp, you'll thank me later. Or maybe just invest in a really good cookbook for dishes you can cook in the dark.
And while we're on the topic of investments, investing in a good water filter is also a must. Water quality can be questionable. Ouch! Hydration is important, but safety first.
Absolutely. Questionable is another polite word. Boiling water is your friend, and maybe stock up on bottled water. Trust me, you don't want to play roulette with your digestive system. Ouch!
So if you're heading to Chad or South Sudan, lower those expectations, pack smart, and prepare for an authentic living experience. And don't forget to check out more tips on Jet-Off AI.
So I think that we can cover that. Exactly. Think of it as an adventure, just one where the accommodations are more rustic charm than urban chic. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button, folks.
All right, Leo. Let's tackle the fun topic of navigating red tape. You know, visas, immigration, the stuff that makes you want to pull your hair out. We're comparing Chad and South Sudan this time.
Oh, Mira, you make it sound like a walk in the park. Fun and bureaucracy really belong in the same sentences, as that's not fun at all.
True, but someone's got to laugh, right? So, Chad picture trying to get a visa. It's not exactly online booking and instant confirmation. More like a quest.
A quest, you say? More like an odyssey. Expect paperwork, waiting, and maybe even a riddle order from the consulate. To enter Chad, you must first answer what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
And South Sudan. Well, let's just say challenging is an understatement. Imagine paperwork written in hieroglyphics and a map drawn by a toddler. Ooh.
So South Sudan's visa process is like trying to assemble IKEA furniture with no instructions in the spore. You might get there eventually, but you'll probably cry a little first.
Oh, that's perfect. Now, immigration, if you're thinking of moving to Chad, be prepared for a long haul. You'll need patience, persistence, and maybe a good book to read while you wait. Ah.
Right, and a good lawyer who speaks fluent bureaucracies. Oh, you filled out Form 27B? Silly, that's been superseded by Form 27's revised Dalpha subsection 4.
Don't forget about official procedures. In Chad, getting anything done can feel like you're navigating a maze designed by a committee of mischievous hamsters.
Mischievous hamsters. I love it. Expect lots of rubber stamps, long lines, and the occasional unexplained coffee break that lasts for 3 hours.
And South Sudan. Imagine trying to open a bank account while simultaneously herding cats. It's chaotic, unpredictable, and you might just end up with a few scratches. Ouch!
Scratches? More like existential dread. You'll need copies of copies, documents notarized by a goat, and a willingness to bribe anyone who makes eye contact.
Let's not forget that understanding local customs is essential. In Chad, a friendly greeting and a smile can go a long way, even if you don't speak the language.
Absolutely. Politeness and patience are your superpowers. Just don't be surprised if you're offered a cup of tea that tastes suspiciously like motor oil.
You are terrible. And South Sudan, be prepared for cultural differences and a strong sense of community. Building relationships is key to getting things done.
So, I think that we can counter that. Exactly. Forget official channels, it's all about who you know. Befriend the local chief, bring gifts, and always be ready to share a meal, even if it's just a handful of dried crickets.
Crickets. Anyway, for anyone planning a long-term stay, get ready for paperwork. Lots and lots of paperwork. Birth certificates, marriage licenses, proof of address. You name it, they want it. Wow.
And don't forget the all-important certificate of good moral character, signed by your mother and 3 reputable members of the local community.
Leo. This is why we are here. Navigating these systems requires a sense of humor and a flexible attitude. Just remember that things might not always go as planned, and that's okay.
Okay, you're right. So, to sum it up, if you like a challenge, Chad and South Sudan will give you one. Just be prepared for bureaucratic hurdles, cultural quirks, and the occasional existential crisis. Ah!
And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be posting a helpful guide to surviving bureaucracy in Chad and South Sudan.
Right, and you can find more details and resources on Jedofe. We've got all the tips and tricks you need to conquer those immigration nightmares.
Hello, everyone. We are back and ready to rock Chad and South Sudan. Oh. Are you ready, Leo?
Mira, as ready as I'll ever be, which, let's be honest, is probably only about 60% functional before my first coffee. Wow. But hey, let's dive in.
Alright, let's compare access to and quality of health services in Chad and South Sudan. From an expat lens, this is going to be interesting? Do you like it?
Interesting is one word for it. Challenging might be another. Wow. I suspect our listeners are going to get a real education on this one. So, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a thumbs up if you find this oddly fascinating, and let's get started.
Indeed. Starting with Chad, the health stats are, well, they exist. The infant mortality rate? Yikes. Oops. Life expectancy? Lower than my expectations for winning the lottery.
Chad. Yeah. Statistically, it's rough. You're talking about a country with limited resources, a lot of logistical headaches, and a healthcare infrastructure that's more like infrastructure light. Wow.
Infrastructure light, I love it. It's like diet infrastructure. But seriously, for expats, this means you will definitely need comprehensive medical evacuation coverage. Like yesterday.
Absolutely. Medical evacuation isn't just a suggestion, it's practically a mandatory accessory. Think of it as the stylish scarf that keeps you from freezing in a blizzard. Whoa! And by blizzard, I mean a sudden, unexpected medical emergency.
And what about the quality of care, Leo? I mean, let's say you need a doctor. Are they easy to find? Do they speak English? Will they prescribe leeches?
Well, finding a doctor who speaks English is like finding a decent cup of coffee in Chad rare. But not impossible. The quality can be variable, let's put it that way. Serious medical issues, you're probably heading to Antigua and Mina or getting on that evacuation flight.
So, Chad, pack your bags, your medical kit, and a whole lot of faith. Got it. What about South Sudan? Is it better? I'm almost afraid to ask.
South Sudan. Imagine Chad, then crank up the difficulty setting. Whoa. It's got a young nation, ongoing conflicts, and even fewer resources, and a healthcare system struggling to stay afloat.
Oh, dear. So, the stats are even more statistically concerning.
Precisely. Infant mortality, higher. Life expectancy, lower. Access to clean water, a luxury. It's a perfect storm of challenges. Well, if Chad is infrastructure light, South Sudan is infrastructure ghost.
Infrastructure ghost. I love it. So medical evacuation is still a good idea.
Mira, in South Sudan, medical evacuation is less a good idea and more a matter of survival. It's the golden ticket, the get-out-of-jail-free card. Well, you get the idea.
So, what's the quality of healthcare like for expats? Do they even have hospitals?
Hospitals exist, but their capabilities are limited. Wow. Finding an English-speaking doctor is even harder than in Chad. And, let's be frank, the list of things they can't treat is probably longer than the list of things they can.
For South Sudan, bring your medical kit, your evacuation plan, and maybe a guardian angel?
Definitely bring a guardian angel. And maybe a backup guardian angel. Just in case. Wow. Also, a satellite phone for calling for help. Because self-service, sporadic at best.
If you're an expat choosing between Chad and South Sudan, and healthcare is a priority, maybe rethink your priorities. Or pick somewhere else.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If healthcare is your number one concern, then, with all due respect, neither of these countries should be on your shortlist. But if you're committed to the work and willing to take the necessary precautions, then go in with your eyes wide open.
Eyes wide open, a well-stocked first aid kit, and a very good insurance policy. Got it. Anything else to consider?
Look, in both countries, NGOs and international organizations often play a crucial role in providing healthcare. They may be a source of better care, but even they are stretched thin.
And Jetofei, I can help find some of these places that have the facilities you need. Oh, but what about preventative care, vaccinations, staying healthy in the first place?
Preventative care. That's where you become your own best doctor. Make sure you are up to date on all your vaccinations, malaria prophylaxis, absolutely essential, and be incredibly careful about food and water.
Food and water hygiene are your best friends. Aha! Bottled water and me people. And maybe learn how to purify your own water, just in case. You never know.
Exactly. And when it comes to food, stick to things that are cooked thoroughly unserved hot. Avoid street food unless you're absolutely sure about its source. And maybe even then, think twice.
To recap Chad and South Sudan, challenging healthcare environments. Medical evacuation is your best friend. Preventative care is essential. And maybe lower your expectations just a tad.
Lower them a lot, like subterranean levels of expectations. But hey, that doesn't mean you can't have a fulfilling experience in either country. Wow, just be prepared, be smart.
Wise words, Leo. I think we have thoroughly terrified our listeners. Let's move on to our next topic. Oh.
Mission accomplished, Mira. Tune in next time, folks, when we'll compare something slightly less terrifying. Maybe the price of tea.
All right, Leo. Let's talk about getting around in Chad and South Sudan. It's not exactly hopping on the high-speed rail, is it? Is it?
Mira, high-speed rail in those countries in the same sentence? That's comedy gold right there. But seriously, transportation, it's a bit of an adventure, shall we say.
Adventure is one word for it. I'd almost pack a survival kit just to get from point A to point B. Ooh. So, public transport. What's the scoop?
Well, scoop might be the wrong word. More like a dusty gust of wind. Public transport is limited, let's be kind. We're mostly talking about shared taxis or minibuses, right?
And those minibuses? Packed tighter than a clown car at a circus? Well, you're practically making friends whether you want to or not.
Personal space? What's that? More like personal proximity. Ooh, I heard some of these buses were, generously speaking, vintage.
Vintage is being kind. I think some of them might predate the invention of the wheel. There's certainly character building.
And the roads. Ouch, roads is also a strong word. More like suggestions of where a road could be. Whoa.
Oh, Leo, you're killing me. More like a lunar landscape after a meteor shower. Forget smoother rides, you're getting a full body massage whether you ask for it or not.
So if you're planning a road trip, pack a sturdy vehicle, a good mechanic, and maybe a therapist for after. Because you will need it.
Loads and loads of patience. Well, it's like a meditation retreat, but instead of inner peace, you're contemplating the meaning of potholes.
Don't forget the navigation skills. Aha! Google Maps might just throw its hands up and say, I'm out.
Google Maps having an existential crisis is my new favorite image. Maybe bring a homing pigeon just in case. Wow.
That's actually not a bad idea. Reliable and eco-friendly, and slightly less likely to get stuck in a ditch.
Okay, Leo. Enough teasing? There must be some positives, right? Maybe the scenery makes it all worthwhile? Oh.
Well, the scenery is definitely scenic. If you like endless horizons of sand and the occasional goat. But, hey, think of the photo opportunities.
Okay, so photo opportunities and character building got it. I guess it's not for the faint of heart, is it?
Definitely not. You've got to be a real adventurer to tackle transportation in those countries, and maybe a little bit crazy.
Crazy in a good way, right? Like, I embrace the curse and live to tell the tale. Kind of crazy.
Exactly. Riding rides are definitely part of the package. Oh, you took the bullet train in Japan. That's cute.
I was just about to tell you my Shinkansen story. Fine. It won't top your donkey cart anecdote anyway.
Hey, my donkey cart anecdote is pure gold. Pure, unadulterated, bumpy gold. Ah, speaking of gold, that reminds me of a joke.
Save it for your stand-up, Leah. We have a podcast to finish. Oh, let's talk about air travel. Is that any better?
Better? Relatively speaking, yes. Wow. But better in the sense that flying on a rickety plane is better than walking barefoot across the Sahara.
Okay, that's setting the bar pretty low. Even for us? Wow. Are we talking about regular airlines or just enthusiastically maintained crop dusters?
I'd say it's somewhere in between. There are some regular airlines, but be prepared for delays, cancellations, and maybe a slightly unnerving pre-flight safety briefing.
Oh, you mean the one where the pilot just shrugs and says, hope for the best? I'm kidding. I hope. Wow.
You never know. Bring a parachute. It just might be a useful thing. Check Jet off AI. Maybe there are some tips about that.
Okay, Cole. You can probably find some handy travel checklists on Jet off A. Like things to bring when your plane looks older than your grandma. Oh.
And remember, folks, if you like this podcast, you can mic it on YouTube. It's free, and it might just save you from accidentally booking a flight on an enthusiastically maintained crop duster.
Even you can be helpful sometimes. Whoa, seriously though, we hope this has shed some light on transportation in Chad and South Sudan.
Light. Maybe a flickering candle in a very dark room. But hey, at least now you know what to expect.
And if you're still planning a trip, pack that survival kit, a sense of humor, and don't forget to subscribe. You can even comment with the craziest thing you've ever seen. Ooh, we'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. And remember, safe travels, or at least memorable ones. Because you will never forget those roads. Never.
So, that's it for today. Until next time, keep laughing, keep exploring, and maybe invest in some good shock absorbers. Alright, Leo. Let's tackle language barrier and D's of communication in Chad and South Sudan. I'm bracing myself, it sounds like a linguistic jungle.
A linguistic jungle indeed, Mira. It's less lost in translation and more lost in a library where every book is in a different language, ready to hack our way through.
Officially, it's Arabic and French, right? But then you've got, like, a million other languages bouncing around? Wow.
Chad's like that friend who claims to know the languages but secretly speaks 20, none of them fluently. Officially bilingual, unofficially bilingual, unofficially a linguistic free-for-all.
And South Sudan isn't exactly a walk in the park either, is it? English is official, but how many people actually use it day to day?
South Sudan is where English goes to retire after a long career of being misunderstood. Official, yes, but try ordering a coffee in perfect Queen's English and see what happens.
If you only speak French, are you basically stuck chatting with the government officials and fancy tourists?
Pretty much. Imagine trying to haggle for a rug in a bustling market using only GCSE French. You probably end up paying double and getting a fez thrown in for your troubles.
Does everyone just default to local languages, making English a fancy decoration on the Constitution?
It's like having a sports car but only driving it to church on Sundays. Local languages are the everyday workhorses. English is brought out for special occasions like signing treaties or confusing tourists.
Picture this. You're in Chad, trying to find the best street food, but all you know is bonjour.
I'd probably resort to interpreted dance, miming my desire for spicy meat and pointing enthusiastically. If that fails, I'll just eat whatever they give me and hope for the best.
And if I'm in South Sudan, trying to ask for directions but only speaking textbook English, am I doomed to wander the earth forever?
Not doomed, just geographically challenged. You might end up discovering new tribes and accidentally sparking a revolution. Just pack extra snacks and a good nap.
So maybe a phrase book in multiple local languages is essential for both countries? It's time to visit Jet Off AI to prepare for the future.
Absolutely. And a universal translator. Failing that, mastering the art of charades. Travel light, travel smart, travel with Jet Off AI.
Do you think knowing Arabic and Chad, it gives you some kind of secret password to unlock hidden cultural gems?
Knowing Arabic in Chad is like having a backstage pass to the coolest concert in town. You'll understand the jokes, the slang, and maybe even get invited to the after party where they serve camel burgers.
And does understanding a few local dialects in South Sudan and make you an instant VIP with the friendliest villagers? Ooh.
Dude, if you rock up to a South Sudanese village speaking their local lingo, they'll probably crown you king. Prepare for ceremonial dances, gift-giving, and possibly being offered the hand of the chief's dog.
Is it safe to assume that knowing some French is like having a basic survival kit for navigating the cities?
French in Chadian cities is like having a Swiss Army knife made of croissants. It gets you out of some scrapes and makes you look sophisticated, but don't expect it to fix everything.
And in South Sudan, is English read just the language they use to fill out forms and confuse tourists?
Let's be honest, English in South Sudan is like that one sweater you got for Christmas that's too itchy to wear but too polite to throw away. It's there, but you wouldn't rely on it for warmth.
What's the takeaway, Leo? Pack a phrase book, learn some charades, and maybe download a language app before heading to either country? Wow.
Exactly. And a healthy dose of humor. Because when communication fails, laughter's the universal language. Plus, definitely hit up Jet Off AI for all the local tips.
You know, I bet there's a fortune to be made inventing a real-time universal translator. We should get on that.
Mir, we'd be richer than those guys who found gold in California. Until then, I'm sticking with my mimic skills. It served me well so far.
Globetrotters and giggle seekers. Mira here, ready to dive headfirst into another comparison adventure with my partner in podcast crime, Leo. This time, we're strapping on our anthropological helmets and venturing into the fascinating worlds of Chad and South Sudan.
Leo checking in, folks. Strapping on helmets sounds a bit dramatic, Mira. More like we're grabbing our mix and diving into a cultural potluck where some of the ingredients might be a little spicy. I'm all for it, but hey, if you're wondering what's going on YouTube, go ahead and like the video, or check us out at Jet Off AI for more insights.
But before we get carried away, let's remind everyone why we're even here. It's all about cultural diversity and tolerance, my friends. We're peeling back the layers of two nations to see what makes them tick, socially speaking. Oh, so buckle up because it's going to be a wild ride. Whoa.
Wild ride? More like a rickshaw ride through a bustling market, Mira. We're talking Chad and South Sudan, two nations not often gracing the front pages, but brimming with stories and diverse populations. Ready to see how they stack up in the tolerance department? I've got my sarcasm detector calibrated.
Calibrate away, my friend. But first, let's lay the groundwork. Chad, sitting pretty in the heart of Africa, boasts over 200 ethnic groups and languages. Can you even imagine the family reunions? Talk about a linguistic circus.
Linguistic circus? More like a UN General Assembly in someone's backyard, Mir. South Sudan isn't exactly a monoculture either. Dozens of ethnic groups call it home, each with their own traditions, dialects, and preferred brand of fermented sorghum beer. I'm guessing things can get pretty lively.
Lively is one word for it. Now, diversity is one thing, but tolerance is where things get interesting, right? It's not enough to just have a bunch of different cultures. You need folks to, get along.
Tolerance, the secret sauce that turns a melting pot into a delicious instead of a cultural food fight. And let's be honest, both Chad and South Sudan have had their share of, shall we say, spirited discussions in the past. Am I being too sarcastic?
Just a tad, Leo, but you're not wrong. Both countries have faced significant challenges in maintaining social harmony, including conflicts rooted in ethnic and religious differences. Ouch. But let's not dwell on the doom and gloom. Where there's life, there's hope, and there are definitely initiatives aimed at promoting tolerance and understanding.
Initiatives, you say? Like what? Group hug therapy sessions led by nomadic tribesmen. Annual coexist bakey fest featuring millet bread and whatever they bake in South Sudan. I'm genuinely curious, Mira. Lay on me.
Chad has been working on strengthening its legal framework to protect minority rights and promote inclusivity. They've also got a national dialogue initiative aimed at fostering reconciliation and understanding among different communities. It's all about building bridges, Leo.
Bridges made of what? Diplomacy and good intentions? Those are notoriously flimsy building materials, Mir. But alright, I'll bite. What about South Sudan? They've got to be doing something besides brewing sorghum beer, right?
Of course. South Sudan has been focusing on grassroots peaceabilized efforts, bringing together community leaders and different ethnic groups to address grievances and promote peaceful coexistence. They're also working on education programs that emphasize cultural understanding and respect for diversity. Ooh.
Education, huh? Smart move. Nothing like a good history lesson to remind everyone that their ancestors were probably trading partners instead of sworn enemies. But education takes time, Mira. What about a mediator in these situations?
Both countries rely on traditional conflict resolution mechanisms, like elders' councils and customary courts, to resolve disputes and promote reconciliation at the local level. It's all about tapping into indigenous wisdom.
So, that indigenous wisdom, eh? Sounds like a good way to avoid expensive lawyers on drawn-out court battles. But are these traditional methods actually effective? I mean, can a bunch of elders really convince a bunch of feuding tribesmen to bury the hatchet or the AK-47, as the case may be?
It's not a perfect system, Leo, but it's a start. And let's not underestimate the power of community pressure and social norms. In many African societies, maintaining harmony and avoiding conflict are highly valued. It's all about keeping the peace, even if it means swallowing your pride.
Swallowing your pride and maybe a few gallons of sorghum beer. But alright, I'm starting to see the picture. Both Chad and South Sudan are facing enormous challenges, but they're also working hard to build more inclusive and tolerant societies. It's a long road, but at least they're heading in the right direction.
And let's not forget the role of civil society organizations, NGOs, which are working tirelessly to promote human rights, advocate for marginalized communities, and provide support to victims of conflict. They're the unsung heroes of the tolerance movement.
Unsung heroes, eh? I bet they could use a good theme song. Maybe something with a catchy beat and lyrics about building bridges and sorghum beer. I'm just spitballing here, Mir. Don't judge me.
I wouldn't dream of it, Leo. But seriously, it's important to recognize the contributions of these organizations, which often operate in very difficult and dangerous environments. They're the ones on the ground, making a real difference in people's lives. Oh.
All right, Mir, you've convinced me. Chad and South Sudan may not be utopias of tolerance, but they're definitely putting in the effort. And who knows, maybe one day they'll become shining examples of how diverse communities can coexist peacefully and share a beer or two.
And that's all the time we have for today. Remember to check our Jet Alpha ad for more details, and be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Wow.
Yeah, thanks for not spilling your coffee while listening. See you next time.
All right. Leon, let's tackle educational opportunities and language schools in Chad and South Sudan. Prepare for a wild ride. It's not exactly Hogwarts we're talking about, but still.
Oh boy, Chad and South Sudan, huh? This has got to be like comparing a calcboard with it. Well, another calcboard with slightly different chalk dust.
Literacy rates in Chad are around, let's say, not amazing, around 35%. South Sudan? Even lower, hovering around 27%. It's like a literacy limbo contest. Oh.
So, basically, if you're looking for a country with a high literacy rate, these aren't exactly winning any prizes. Makes you appreciate a good book?
Speaking of books, education is often disrupted by conflict and lack of resources. It's a constant struggle. You could say getting a pencil is a luxury item. Whoa.
So access to schools and even basic supplies is a major obstacle? Imagine trying to learn algebra with no pencil, no paper, and go trying to eat your textbook.
Get this, many schools are informal, community-run setups. They make do with what they had, innovative and impressive, right? Wow.
Talk about making lemonade out of lemons. These community-run schools are the educational equivalent of MacGyver. They're like, we need education. We gotta do.
Gender inequality is another major hurdle. Girls often face cultural barriers to education. It's like they are fighting a battle before even getting to the classroom. Ouch!
So sadly, girls face more barriers to education than boys. Oh, you all learn? Well, first, scale this patriarchy mountain. It's a tough climb. Ouch!
But on the bright side, international organizations are heavily involved, pushing for improved education. There are heroes out there, Leo. Aha!
Ah, the NGOs to the rescue. These organizations are the educational superheroes swooping in to save the day. It gives some hope.
As for language schools, well, let's just say niche market. You're more likely to learn survival skills than Swahili.
So, if you're looking for a language school, maybe try literally anywhere else. It's more like learn the language of survival than hola. Como estas?
But you could learn Arabic or French in Chad if you're persistent. It's a bit like searching for a needle in a haystack, but needles exist.
Alright, so French and Arabic are options if you are feeling adventurous. Bonjour, I am surviving. Sounds about right.
And in South Sudan, English and Arabic are more common. But again, formal language training is scarce. It's a DIY language learning experience.
Okay, so English and Arabic it is. Forget Rosetta Stone, you'll be learning from locals and maybe a dusty old phrase book if you are lucky.
Basically, educational opportunities and language schools are works in progress. They have a long way to go, but the effort is there.
So, Chad and South Sudan, not exactly educational hotspots, but with a lot of heart and a long way to go? It's like we're trying, okay?
If you would like to support us, give a cup of coffee, to keep the conversation going.
You can support us from Jet Off AI's site, wow! It's like giving a cup of coffee to keep us going with more conversation, wow.
We'll see you next podcast, bye. Hello everyone, Mira here. Are we ready to dive into another geographical showdown? I hope everyone is ready because this conversation will be hot.
You're ready as ever, Mira. Haha, indeed, considering the countries we're tackling today. I've heard they are the hottest and driest on Earth. Oh.
Today, we're talking about Chad and South Sudan, two countries that really know how to turn up the heat. Both are known for turning up the heat index. Boom!
You got it, Mira. Turn up the heat is an understatement. I think broil is a better word. So, climate and seasonal conditions it is. Where do we even begin with these scorchers?
Well, let's start with the basics. Chad, geographically, sits smack dab in the Sahara, right? Which means
prepare for an Aban. Ouch! We're talking desert climate in the north with temperatures that can make you question your life choices.
we're talking about average highs in the Sahara region hitting, like 110 to 115 Fahrenheit. And that's just the AV or AG. Ouch! My hair would turn into a permanent frizz.
I can only imagine. Wow, it's so hot, you could probably cook an egg on the sidewalk. Although, given the opportunity, I would make that a scrambled egg. I like it more.
Oh my gosh. Let's upload that to YouTube. Cooking eggs on sidewalks. You might actually get subscribers. Anyway, so you have this intense desert heat in the north of Chad. Then you move south.
And you get something slightly less intense. It's still hot, but more of a tropical climate in the south. We have rainy seasons, which is a big change. Bull!
Yes, a rainy season, which is almost a relief after imagining that Saharan furnace. We're talking about a wet season from May to October.
So, it's a mix of desert and savanna, making it slightly less monotonous than just endless sand. South Sudan, on the other hand, what's their climate situation?
Sudan is mainly tropical. Temperatures are generally high all year round, but there are wet and dry seasons that heavily influence life.
So basically constant heat with occasional downpours. Seems like a recipe for humidity that could make my glasses fog up constantly. Wow.
The rainy season usually lasts from May to October as well, similar to southern Chad. During that time, transportation becomes super difficult, and some areas can even become inaccessible.
Inaccessible due to floods? Sounds like a logistical nightmare. I have a question. How do people even manage daily life with such harsh conditions?
Adaptation is key. Well, in both countries, people have developed ways to cope with the climate. Let's check on the Jet Off AI site to get more clear information.
Oh, I was just about to ask that. Yeah, how do they adapt? What are their strategies for dealing with the heat? The floods, everything?
Well, traditional architecture plays a big role. Think mud houses with thick walls that keep the interior cool during the day and warmer at night. Ingenious, right?
Simple but effective. I'm picturing those mud houses. They have to be more comfortable than a tin shack baking in the sun. Ugh. And what about clothing?
Light-colored clothing is a must to reflect the sun's rays. And of course, head coverings are essential to protect from the intense sun. Ugh.
Makes total sense. I'd be rocking a massive sombrero if I lived there, just for the shade factor alone. What about agriculture? How do they grow anything in such conditions?
That's a challenge, of course. Many farmers rely on seasonal rains for their crops and practice techniques like crop rotation to maintain soil fertility. They also need to be able to store water during the rainy seasons.
So, they have to be incredibly resourceful and resilient. Are there any extreme weather events that make things even more complicated?
Sadly, yes. Both Chad and South Sudan are vulnerable to droughts and floods. These events can lead to food shortages, displacement, and other humanitarian crises. Ouch.
Droughts and floods, that's a terrible combination. One extreme to the other. How do these countries cope with such disasters? Aha!
Well, there are some efforts to improve water management, build flood defenses, and provide early warning systems, but resources are often limited. International aid is frequently needed.
So, it's a constant struggle for survival against these environmental forces. What can people who live in those climate conditions do in such extreme conditions? Wow.
Also, Chad and South Sudan are dealing with other effects from the changing climate. It can be found at Jet Off AI. Check it out.
This studio has everything. What does Jet Off AI say? Whoa.
Alright, let's dive into Chad and South Sudan. Food culture. Nutritional alternatives. It's not all sunshine and rainbows there, right?
Sunshine on rainbows. Mira, are we talking about gastronomy or a unicorn convention? Chad and South Sudan. I picture heat, Dustin. Well, not exactly Michelin star cuisine. Ouch.
Oh, be nice, Leon. Every country has its culinary heart. In Chad, millet is a staple, right? Light. We live and breathe millet. Ooh.
Sounds like a travel brochure written by a particularly enthusiastic grain. But seriously, yes, millet is huge. Millet is huge. It's like the bread, the rice, the everything. So practical.
Practicality is key, right? They make boule, a stiff porridge. I bet you tried to make a joke about that, calling it beige surprise.
Beige surprise. Mira, you know me too well. But hey, at least it's nutritious. South Sudan, though. They are big on sorghum.
So, like, millet's dozen? Do they have sorghum porridge too? I'm picturing one big beige off.
It's a beige off of epic proportions. Aha! And yes, they do. Kaysra is a flatbread made from sorghum. Very important. So necessary. They really love it. It's super good.
So Chad has bull, South Sudan is Isra. Who wins this battle of the cows? Maybe the listeners can vote on our YouTube channel.
A YouTube poll. Genius? But honestly, both are vital. Both are fuel. It's a Taiwa, which is better oxygen or water. They're both kinda necessary to survive, right?
True. Survival is key. But what about flavor? Do they just eat plain grain all day? Tell me there's some spice or Okay.
It's not all blandness. Chad has Sosco MBO, made with okra. Not my personal favorite, but hey, it adds flavor. Ah,
Interesting. Okay, I'm picturing a slimy green actually. No. I want to stay optimistic. What spices do they use? Please tell me they don't just boil okra. Well,
optimism is admirable, Mira. But let's be realistic, you know. I think the spices look, they use some spices. But mostly it's about the okra, and sometimes peanut butter.
peanut butter. In okra sauce? That's unexpected. It's like a culinary plot twist. I gotta try that. Oh,
You're braver than I am, Mira. As for South Sudan, they've got Azada, which is another porridge, but it often comes with stews. Ah,
another porridge. They are getting wild. Please tell me these stews have some meat or vegetables or anything that isn't beige.
well, they use leafy greens. Very important. They add sometimes, if they're lucky, they add some dried fish or goat meat. These people eat well.
Leafy greens and maybe some goat? That sounds reasonable, living is here. But what about things like fresh fruit or fancy stuff? Are we dreaming too big?
You're asking about luxury items in countries facing serious challenges. Keep your expectations managed. Yes, in major towns you could probably hunt down a banana.
I imagine someone selling it with white gloves and a spotlight. The banana.
Exactly. But honestly, nutritional diversity is a real issue. They're trying to improve that.
Yeah, I bet. Are there any cool, innovative projects going on? Like, are people inventing new ways to grow food or something? I feel like we can get the new innovation news here. Well,
Innovation is happening. Some aid organizations are promoting drought-resistant crops like cassava. It makes things easier to adapt for the local people. Ah,
good choice. Plus, you can make fries out of it, right? So instant win. That's just a win to me. You know, for real. So perfect.
you always find a way to bring it back to fries, Mira. But yes, cassava is a winner. They are also working on better irrigation and farming techniques.
Irrigation is essential, right? You can't heat sand. Although, I bet someone somewhere has tried. It tried to laugh at that to make myself feel good. Oops.
Someone has probably tried. But yeah, water's life. Better farming means more food, which means healthier people. Ah!
Okay, I'm officially inspired. I want to start a cassava farm now and export fries to Chad and South Sudan. I can start working on it. Let's call it Mira's Miracle Fries. Wow.
Mira's Miracle Fries. Ooh, I love it. I can see the YouTube videos now, but seriously, it's great that you are inspired. I think people should be inspired by this. Aha.
We need more fries. I mean, we need more food security. And that also goes for the Jet Off AI listeners. Let me know if you agree. If not, send me some food. I'm joking. Just like and subscribe if you want to do that.
Excellent tending, Mira. So, next time you're thinking about a snack, remember Chad and South Sudan. And maybe donate to a food charity, or at least learn how to say millet in a local language.
Okay, I'm off to learn how to say millets in every language now. Thanks, Leo. And remember to click like on this video, because every click brings us closer to world peace, and potentially more fries.
You are incorrigible, Mira, as usual, but that's why we love you. Peace out, everyone, and maybe try some okra.
Okay, Leo, let's dive into historical, cultural, and artistic values in Chad and South Sudan. This could be interesting.
Chad and South Sudan, Mira? Seriously? It's like comparing a desert mirage with a slightly less dry mirage. All right, let's see if we can squeeze some comedic juice out of this.
Oh, come on, Leo. Every country has its unique charm. Let's start with Chad. They've got the N80 Plateau. UNESCO World Heritage Site with stunning rock formations and ancient art. Wow!
Ancient art, you say? Is it mostly stick figures of bewildered camels wondering where the water went? But seriously, the Neneti Plateau does sound visually impressive, perfect backdrop for a poorly funded sci-fi movie.
It's more than just camels, Leo. There are paintings depicting people, animals, and scenes from daily life dating back thousands of years. It gives you a glimpse into their ancient culture.
Okay, Mira, thousands of years. Fair play. But did those ancient artists ever imagine their work would be scrutinized by two comedians on a podcast?
Probably not. But that's what makes it fun. Let's see what South Sudan has to offer. They have a rich tradition of oral literature with stories, poems, and songs passed down through generations.
Oral literature? So, lots of epic poems about surviving the rainy season and swatting mosquitoes the size of small birds? I imagine the performances are quite animated, though.
You're not far off, Leo. These stories often reflect their history, beliefs, and are performed during ceremonies and festivals. Very vibrant stuff. Wow.
Ceremonies and festivals, you say? Do they involve competitive mud wrestling or maybe a talent show for the best animal impersonations? Ha ha ha!
There's the Dinka tribe famous for cattle cats and doves longhorn cattle. They're really proud of their livestock.
Cattle pride. I can dig it. Anything's better than reality TV. So, are these dances elaborate affairs with costumes and carefully choreographed steps? Or is it more of a spontaneous jig fooled by local brew?
A bit of both, actually. There are traditional dances with intricate steps and colorful attire, but also spontaneous celebrations with lots of music and drumming. Whoa.
Drums, you say? I'm picturing tribal drummers so intense they could set off a car alarm a mile away. Ooh, I'd pay to see that on YouTube.
Speaking of instruments, South Sudan also has unique musical instruments like the tom, a type of harp, and the arababa, a stringed instrument. They play these during their performances.
A harpadara baba? That's a bit fancier than I expected? Are they playing soulful ballads about lost love or maybe protest songs about the price of millet?
They use them to create melodies for their songs and poems. Some are about love, others about war, and some about daily life.
War poems? Now that's a genre you don't hear much on pop radio. I'm picturing a South Sudanese version of Bob Dylan strumming a babin singing about geopolitical strife.
You never know, Leo. Maybe we'll discover the next Bob Dylan.
If we do, I call dibs on managing him. We'll get him a record deal and make him a star, but promise him we'll only book him coffee shops. Ooh!
That's an interesting mix of the traditional and the contemporary. It shows how these cultures are evolving while still holding on to their roots.
Evolving cultures is like watching a caterpillar slowly turn into a slightly different caterpillar.
Leo. Anyway, it's about finding the beauty and creativity in everyday life, even in challenging circumstances. That's admirable. Wow.
Beauty in the struggle, eh? Fair enough, Mira. I guess even in the driest desert, you can find a flower blooming, or at least a cleverly disguised cactus.
You can like and subscribe to support us, it's just a click. Subscribing might even bring you some happiness. Ooh, who knows? You might one day say, this podcast changed my life. Wow, and we'll say we were a part of it.
Don't get carried away. But hey, if our listeners want to support our comedic exploration of obscure cultural gems, who are we to stop then?
Well, friends, we'll put some details on Jet of AI.
Yes, friends. You can find content related to our podcast on Jet of AI. Maybe there are some discounts too.
So there you have it. A whirlwind tour of the historical, cultural, and artistic values of Chad and South Sudan.
More like a gentle breeze, Mira. A gentle breeze through a museum filled with, well, you get the picture. Let's just say it's been educational. I think.
All right, Leo. Let's dive into the natural beauty contest between Chad and South Sudan. I'm already picturing vast landscapes and maybe a few unexpected oases.
Mira, you always make it sound like we're judging a beauty pageant for countries. I bet you're imagining Chad and South Sudan strutting down the runway in their finest desert attire.
Maybe Chad will bring a shimmering sand dune and South Sudan will have a majestic sud swamp. Whoa. Okay, first up Chad. I'm thinking massive Sahara desert vibes.
You nailed it. Chad's got more desert than your average sci-fi movie. But wait for it. It also has the T-Bestai Mountains, which are surprisingly dramatic. Imagine snow-capped peaks in the middle of the Sahara.
In the Sahara? Wow. That's like finding a polar bear at a beach party. Tell me more.
The T-Bestai Mountains are volcanic, and they're home to Yemikoussi, the highest point in the Sahara. It's like a hidden world up there.
Chad's surprising me already. But what about South Sudan? I'm picturing more of a lush green scene.
Well, South Sudan doesn't disappoint in the lush department. The Sud is one of the largest wetlands in the world, fed by the Nile. Think endless swamps and incredible biodiversity.
A giant swamp? That actually sounds amazing. Are we talking alligators and cool birds?
Absolutely. The Sud is a haven for bird life, plus you'll find crocodiles, hippos, and all sorts of critters. It's a real-life African adventure.
Crocodiles and hippos sound exciting, but also a little bitey. Oops, I hope they have good travel insurance.
You're right. You probably wouldn't want to go for a casual swim. But hey, it's nature at its finest. This studio wouldn't be here without Jet Off AI.
Does either country have any nice lakes?
Chad's got Lake Chad, which despite its name is shrinking, but it's still a vital source of water. South Sudan has smaller lakes and rivers scattered throughout, contributing to that lush landscape.
If you're a desert person with a secret mountain obsession, Chad's your place. If you're all about swamps and wildlife, South Sudan's calling your name.
Precisely, Chad's got that stark, dramatic desert beauty, while South Sudan is all about that vibrant, watery wilderness. Each is unique in its own way. This YouTube video will reflect those differences.
I'm starting to think we need a field trip. A camel ride in Chad followed by a boat tour in South Sudan. Wow.
I'm in. Just promise me we'll pack plenty of sunscreen and bug spray, and maybe a crocodile repellent.
So, dear listeners, what do you think? Do you prefer the stark beauty of the Sahara or the lushness of the Thud? Let us know in the comments on YouTube. Oh.
And if you want to research more about Chad and South Sudan, head over to Jet Off AI. We've got articles, photos, and even travel tips.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want more of these amazing country comparisons.
All right, Mira, ready to move on to the next landscape showdown?
Absolutely. Where are we headed next? Okay, Leo, let's dive into the wild side of Chad and South Sudan. Sports, activities, and adventures, what have they got to offer? Ooh.
Mira, I'm ready to be amazed. Or maybe just mildly surprised. Chad and South Sudan aren't exactly known for their extreme sports tourism, are they?
Well, maybe not extreme sports tourism, Leo. But that doesn't mean they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs. Let's start with Chad. Wrestling is huge there. A real national passion.
Wrestling, huh? Like spandex and body slams wrestling? Or something a little more traditional?
Think traditional, Leo? More like dust, sweat, and serious displays of strength. It's a big deal at festivals and gatherings. Wow.
Okay. I'm picturing it. Rugged intense. Probably a good workout too. Anything similar.
South Sudan's big on football or soccer, as some people call it. It's a unifying force, especially given the country's history. Oh.
So I think that we can conquer that. Football, the world's favorite sport. Makes sense. A good way to forget your troubles for 90 minutes, right?
And it's not just watching people are playing, organizing local matches. It's a community thing. Wow.
So we've got wrestling in Chad, football in South Sudan. What about something a bit more adventurous? You know, things that might involve potential danger and questionable decision-making?
Well, both countries offer opportunities for wildlife spotting. You can see elephants, giraffes, lions. Provided you're very careful and have a good guide. Whoa!
Wildlife spotting. That sounds like a euphemism for potential lion encounter. Ouch.
Okay, maybe a little. But seriously, Chad has Accommodation National Park, which is making a comeback in terms of wildlife conservation. Wow.
So I think that we can come back? So, it used to be less lively?
Let's just say it had some challenges, but now they're working hard to protect the animals and promote responsible tourism.
Responsible tourism. That sounds like code for don't feed the lions.
Then South Sudan has places like Boma National Park, known for its massive animal migrations. Wow.
Migrations? So, you could potentially be surrounded by thousands of wildebeest or trampled by a herd of elephants. Ouch!
Okay. You're focusing on the potential dangers. It's also an incredible spectacle of nature.
I'm just saying adventure can mean different things to different people. For me, adventure is finding a decent cup of coffee in a new city.
You and your coffee, Leo. But seriously, if you're into bird watching, both countries have some amazing species.
Bird watching. Now that's an adventure I can get behind, as long as the birds don't try to steal my coffee.
And for something a bit more active, there's hiking. Chad has the T-Besti Mountains in the north, with some stunning desert landscapes. Wow.
Desert hiking? That sounds hot, and sandy, and potentially lacking in readily available water sources. Ouch!
But think of the views, and the sense of accomplishment. Plus, you can visit ancient rock art sites. Oh!
Okay, ancient rock art. That's actually pretty cool. Maybe I'd be willing to sweat a little for that. South Sudan?
South Sudan is less mountainous, but you can explore the Sud, one of the largest wetlands in the world. Wow.
Wetlands. So, lots of mud mosquitoes, and maybe the occasional crocodile?
It's also an incredibly important ecosystem, with unique wildlife and plant life. Plus, you can take boat trips and experience the local culture.
Okay, boat trips sound nice. As long as the boat is sturdy and the crocodiles are well fed. What about water sports? Anything beyond avoiding crocodiles?
In Chad, you can try fishing in Lake Chad, although it's been shrinking in recent years.
Shrinking Lake Chad. That's a little depressing. Maybe not the best place for a relaxing fishing trip. Ouch!
True, but it's still an important resource for the local communities. And South Sudan has the Nile River, which offers opportunities for boating and fishing.
The Nile. Now that's iconic. I'm picturing myself as a modern-day explorer, braving the rapids and discovering a species.
Just try not to fall in. And remember to bring sunscreen. Oh!
Sunscreen check. Crocodile repellent double check. What else? Any extreme sports I'm missing? Something out of a plane or scaling a vertical face?
I'm not sure about extreme sports, but you could always try negotiating a crowded market. That can be pretty intense.
Negotiating in a crowded market. Now that's a skill I could use, especially if I'm trying to buy a decent cup of coffee.
And if you're looking for a more cultural experience, both countries have traditional dances and music performances. Wow!
Traditional dances. Will I be required to participate? Because my dance moves are, shall we say, unique.
If you want to. It's more about watching and appreciating the local culture.
Okay, I can handle that. Watching other people dance is one of my favorite pastimes, especially if they're making fools of themselves.
Be nice. So, to sum it up, Chad and South Sudan might not be the first places that come to mind when you think of sports and adventure.
True.
But they both offer unique opportunities to experience wildlife, explore stunning landscapes, and immerse yourself in local culture. Wow.
And potentially encounter a lion or a crocodile along the way. Ouch!
Okay, maybe a slight chance of that. But hey, that's what makes it an adventure.
I still think finding a good cup of coffee is the ultimate adventure, but I appreciate the effort, Mira.
You're impossible, Leo. But that's why we love you. Oh, Leo. So nightlife and entertainment venues in Chad and South Sudan. I'm picturing something totally different from the Ibiza scene. right?
Mira, EBs is hardly what comes to mind. Let's dial down our expectations, but not our curiosity. Maybe there are some hidden gems. After all, entertainment finds a way, even in the most unexpected places.
That sounds like a challenge. Do you think we'll find any disco balls or just some really enthusiastic drum circles?
Probably more drum circles, Mira, but who knows? Ah, maybe there's a guy in NDJ named MDJ mean is secretly importing lasers and crafting the Chad and Palooza experience.
Chatty Palooza. I love it. Maybe we should trademark that. So, seriously, what does Nightlife even look like there? Is it just everyone chilling under the stars?
Well, Mira, since internet access isn't that widespread, people probably rely more on actual human interaction, which, dare I say, could be refreshing.
Storytelling around a fire and not checking your phone every 5 seconds? Ooh, actually, that sounds kind of nice.
Exactly. A simpler time, perhaps. Ah, of course. Simpler doesn't always mean readily available entertainment. Getting from place can be its own adventure.
Hope you brought your own camel? Speaking of which, do you think camel racing counts as nightlife in Chad?
It could. If they do it under the moonlight, I'm calling it equestrian after dark entertainment.
Equestrian after dark entertainment. You're on a roll. Maybe we should be travel agents specializing in the utterly obscure.
We'd be rich, or utterly broke. Anyway, I'm thinking in South Sudan, community gatherings are probably a big thing. Music, dance. Whoa, what do you think?
It's probably more about communal celebrations than solo clubbing. Although imagining a few brave souls trying to start a rave in Juba.
A rave in Juba. Now that's a mental image. I bet the sound system would be powered by sheer willpower.
Powered by willpower may be a really good generator. Oh, but think of the cultural fusion. Traditional dances mixed with techno beats.
Someone needs to make that happen. We'd be talking about them on Jet Off. I saying, wow, this is a fusion no one saw coming.
Although access to any kind of venue is probably limited in some areas, especially with ongoing challenges.
Travel advisories are important. But human creativity persists, right? Right? Where there's a will, there's a way. And maybe a drum.
So, ditch the disco ball and embrace the djembe. Sounds like a plan. What kind of music do you think we'd hear?
In South Sudan, traditional tribal music, definitely. Maybe some Afrobeat influences filtering in. Chad has a mix of Arab and African sounds. Intriguing.
In picturing vibrant colors, traditional dress, lots of energy. So it's less about the venue and more about the atmosphere.
You nailed it. A community coming together is the venue. We should also remember entertainment could include cultural storytelling.
Oh, absolutely. Griots passing down history through song and dance. A totally different kind of show. More meaningful, even. Wow.
No flashing lights needed. Maybe the greatest show on earth is already playing, but you just need to know where to look.
Now you're making me want to book a flight and find out. Although, I probably wouldn't know where to begin.
That's where our trusty Jet Off AI can step in. Let's research together, see if we can uncover some true entertainment gems.
Our current topic, we compare family-friendly environments and children's activities into countries. From welcoming parks to engaging educational programs, which offers more for families.
That's a tough one, Mira, especially when you're talking about Chad and South Sudan. It's not exactly Disney World we're comparing here, is it?
No, Leo. Definitely not Disney World. But, even without theme parks, there's still a way to look at how each country supports families. Let's start with Chad. What does it offer for kids?
Well, Chad is known for its stunning natural landscapes like Lake Chad and the Eden Plateau. Ooh, though getting there with kids might require an Indiana Jones level of planning.
True, Leo, true. Maybe not ideal for toddlers. But think of the educational opportunities. It's like a real-life geography lesson? Wow!
Aha! If you can keep them from getting heat stroke, that is. Let's be honest, Chad's infrastructure isn't exactly geared toward family tourism. Ouch.
So maybe Chad is better for adventurous families with older kids. Ah, What about South Sudan? What does it offer?
South Sudan faces even greater challenges, Mira. Ongoing conflicts and limited resources mean family-friendly activities are not a priority.
Access to basic necessities like healthcare and education is a struggle. Whoa, fun and games are pretty low on the list.
Exactly. For kids, it's more about survival than playdates. I can even make a joke about that, Mira. Some things are just too serious.
I agree, Leo. But even in the toughest circumstances, families find ways to create joy for their children. It's inspiring. Oh.
It is. You see kids playing soccer in the streets even when everything around them is falling apart. It shows resilience.
We can't ignore the reality. Access to education is limited in both countries, especially for girls. That needs to change.
Absolutely. Investing in education and safety is crucial for the future of these kids. It's not just about fun, it's about giving them a chance.
But let's bring our listeners back from the heavy stuff. You won't find fancy kids' clubs, but family bonds and storytelling are strong. It's precious.
Totally. It's a reminder that happiness isn't about material things. Sometimes it's about family, community, and finding joy in simple moments.
We should also mention that organizations like UNICEF and Save the Children are working hard to improve the lives of kids in Chad and South Sudan. Wow.
They're heroes. It's important to support their efforts. They're providing education, healthcare, and protection to vulnerable children.
Listeners can like this podcast and help make a change happen.
True. I'll add a link to Jet Off AI so our listeners can learn more about these organizations and how to support them.
Even if they fall behind in this category, there is still so much to discover about them. Oh!
Exactly. Next time we are together, we will find out what those are.
Alright, Leah. Let's tackle the LGBT-friendly atmosphere in Chad and South Sudan. This could be interesting.
Interesting is one word for it, Mira. I'd maybe go with challenging. What's the vibe like in Chad?
Well, Chad isn't exactly throwing rainbow parades. There are no specific laws criminalizing homosexuality, which is something, but societal acceptance, not so much.
So, basically, legally ambiguous, socially frosty. Sounds about right. What about South Sudan? Lay it on me.
Unfortunately, has a bit more, shall we say, clarity. Homosexuality is illegal there. Ouch! And social acceptance is pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, that's rough. So, neither place is exactly planning a welcome party for the LGBT community. Whoa!
If you're planning a trip, it's definitely good to know. Maybe not the best spots for a romantic getaway with your same-sex partner.
Understatement of the century, Mira. This isn't exactly eat, pray, love material. More like stay safe, stay hidden, and definitely don't hold hands. Yikes.
If our listeners are interested, Jet Off AI has resources listing safer travel destinations. Wow. It's always good to know your rights and potential risks before you go anywhere.
Indeed. This is a stark reminder of how much progress the world still needs to make. Maybe someday we'll be comparing these countries on the merits of their pride parades.
One can dream, Leah. But for now, let's keep the conversation going. Do you guys agree with us that education is key to creating more inclusive environments? Comment on our YouTube channel and tell us your thoughts.
Absolutely. And if you're enjoying these deep dives, don't forget to like and subscribe. We're always exploring new topics and perspectives on the show.
Speaking of deeper dives, we will publish a supporting article on Jet Off AI with more details. So, make sure to visit.
Agreed, Jet Off AI can offer valuable backgrounders. What's next on the agenda, Mira? Something a bit lighter, perhaps.
Let's switch gears entirely, and we can focus on hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners, because we deserve a change. Ooh. So let's dive into hospitality and attitudes towards foreign Chad and South Sudan. Are these hidden gems or what?
Hidden's definitely the word, Mira. Not exactly topping the tourist charts, are they? But that might mean the hospitality is more genuine, less tourist-ting.
I always find that the further off the beaten path you go, the more real the welcomes get. It's like Wow, you actually came here. Huh?
True. In Chad, you're dealing with a mix of nomadic cultures and settled communities. Hospitality is often tied to tradition, offering food and shelter.
That sounds amazing. I love when cultures have deep-rooted traditions of welcoming strangers. It feels so heartwarming.
It is. But remember, Mira, Chad's also faced its share of challenges: poverty, political instability. That can influence attitudes, make people wary.
Good point, Leo. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it? Real life always has its complications. Well,
Nope. Now, South Sudan even more so. A new nation with a very troubled past. Trust doesn't come easy there.
right, decades of conflict will definitely do that. It must be tough to build relationships, especially with outsiders. Ouch.
Precisely. But even amidst the difficulties, their resilience, a spirit of wanting to rebuild, connect. You see glimpses of it.
That's the human spirit, isn't it? Always finding a way, even when things are incredibly hard. Well,
It is. But let's be real, for expats, these aren't easy postings. You need patience, cultural sensitivity, a thick skin.
a really, really thick skin. I imagine language barriers alone would be a huge hurdle.
You, French and Arabic in Chad, English and a bunch of local languages in South Sudan? Brush up on your skills.
Time to download those language apps, I guess. It's always better to try and communicate, even if you mangle the pronunciation. Ah,
Definitely. And do your research. Understand the customs, the social norms. What's considered polite, what's not.
it's all about respect, isn't it? Show you're making an effort. You care about their culture. Ooh,
Exactly. And remember security. Both countries have risks. Stay informed, follow local advice, and don't take unnecessary chances.
no point in being a super welcoming host if you're putting yourself in danger.
True. And let's be honest, Mira, this podcast is made possible thanks to Jet so if you are looking for more travel tips or places to visit, check out our website.
Yes, of course, if you're feeling inspired and want more information, hop on over to Jet Off AI, where you can discover awesome travel ideas.
And don't forget to like this on YouTube.
Yes, if you enjoyed this episode, please like it and subscribe. You may find yourself saying, "This episode changed my life." Ooh.
All right, Mira. I think we've covered the basics of hospitality and attitudes towards foreigners in Chad and South Sudan.
I think so too, Leah. It's all about respect, patience, and a willingness to learn no matter where you go. All right, Leo. Let's tackle internet infrastructure in Chad and South Sudan. Prepare for some interesting comparisons.
Interesting as in, can you even load a cat video interesting? Lay it on me, Mira. I'm bracing myself for dial-up nostalgia.
Well, Chad, bless its heart, faces some serious hurdles. We're talking limited internet access, especially outside the capital, N'Djamena. It's like a digital desert in many areas.
A digital desert. Wow. So, more camels with Wi-Fi hotspots than actual fiber optic cables? That's a visual I didn't need but appreciate.
Pretty much. Mobile internet exists, but the speeds are often slower than a snail doing the tango. Plus, data costs can be exorbitant for the average Chadian. Ouch.
Exorbitant? Huh? So, browsing Facebook could cost you a week's wages? That's rough. Maybe they should just stick to carrier pigeons.
Don't give them ideas, Leo. South Sudan isn't exactly Silicon Valley either. They're grappling with similar challenges per infrastructure. High costs, unlimited coverage.
So, it's a type for most likely to make you throw your phone against the wall in frustration. I'm sensing a theme here.
In most countries, you are looking at a small percentage of the population actually online. Digital literacy is also a big issue. It's like handing someone a spaceship when they've never seen a car before.
A spaceship analogy, I like it. So, it's not just about getting the internet there, but also teaching people how to use it without accidentally starting a global war.
And both countries have faced political instability, which obviously doesn't help investment in long-term digital infrastructure. When you're worried about, basic survival, broadband access kind of takes a back seat.
True that. It's tough to binge watch Netflix when you're trying to find clean water. Perspective, people. Aha!
Though, there's a bit of good news. There are efforts to improve things, like expanding mobile coverage and promoting digital skills, mainly by NGOs and some entrepreneurs.
Oh, so, tiny glimmers of hope in the digital darkness. Tell me more about these tech-savvy heroes.
Well, some local entrepreneurs are creating innovative solutions, like using mobile technology for agricultural information or healthcare services. It's all about finding ways to use limited resources to address pressing needs.
Wow, that's impressive. Necessity is the mother of invention, even if the invention is a slightly less terrible internet connection.
And international organizations are working with governments to develop national ICT strategies. Baby steps, but steps nonetheless.
Baby steps are better than no steps. So, long story short, don't expect to stream the Super Bowl in either country anytime soon, but progress is happening. Slowly.
We may not be reviewing their high-speed gaming setups anytime soon. To find out more, Jet Off AI might have a few related sources.
And listeners, if you visited either country, tell us about your internet experience. Was it a delightful surprise or a complete digital disaster? Put it in the YouTube comments, we're dying to know.
Indeed. And if you're feeling extra generous, give us a like and subscribe. It helps us keep the digital lights on here at Jet Off AI Studios, even if Chad and South Sudan are still waiting for their fiber optic revolution.
Okay, Miro, well done. What fascinating insights you bring. I think it's time for a coffee and a little reflection of our own.
Well, Leah, speaking of chaotic markets and unexpected finds, let's dive into shopping opportunities and price-performance balance in Chad and South Sudan. Are we talking find a dine in the rough kind of shopping, or more dodge the rough kind of experience?
Mira, you always paint such vivid pictures. Dodging the rough could be a daily activity there. But seriously, when it comes to shopping, we're not exactly talking rodeo drive, are we? More like rodeo, maybe you go drive, in some areas. Ooh.
Oh, Leo, you're terrible. But you're not wrong. In Chad, you're more likely to find vibrant local markets than sprawling shopping malls. Wow. Think colorful fabrics, handmade crafts, and the freshest produce you can imagine. If you're looking for an authentic experience, Chad's got it in spades.
San, maybe. Look, Chad has its charm, especially if you're into bargaining for unique textiles or handcrafted goods. Just remember, buyer beware takes on a whole new meaning when you're haggling in a bustling market with limited price tags.
True. Now, South Sudan? Shopping there is even more of an adventure. Whoa. Basic necessities can be hard to come by, and imported goods are often quite expensive. It's all about resourcefulness and knowing where to look.
Resourcefulness is an understatement. More like Mac G5 level shopping skills are required. Finding reliable sources for essential items and understanding local pricing is key. Price performance. Well, let's just say you're paying a premium for survival.
Okay. Some idiots not a shopper's paradise. But there's something incredibly special about supporting local artisans and small businesses in these countries. Oh, you're not just buying a product, you're investing in a community.
Investing in a community, and potentially a lifetime supply of mosquito repellent. Fair point, though. Supporting local economies is always a plus. Just be prepared to adjust your expectations and embrace philosophy.
And remember, when we upload this to YouTube, leave your own shopping adventure stories in the comments. Oh, have you ever bartered for something unusual? Tell us all about it.
I'm betting someone out there has a tale of bartering for a camo or something equally wild. And if you're planning a trip, be sure to check out Jet Off AI for practical travel tips and safety advice. We wouldn't want anyone getting fleeced by a friendly goat hair.
But yes, Jet Off AI is a fantastic resource. Wow. So, to sum it up, shopping in Chad and South Sudan is less about retail therapy and more about experiential learning and supporting local communities.
Precisely. and maybe packing an extra suitcase full of patience and hand sanitizer. But hey, at least you'll have stories to tell for years to come. And who knows, maybe you'll even find that dime in the rough, or at least a really interesting rock.
Okay, Leo. Let's dive into the festival scene in Chad and South Sudan. It's all about the beats, colors, and traditions, right? Oh.
Absolutely, Mira. But let's be real, we're not talking Coachella here, more like raw, unfiltered cultural experiences that make you go, whoa, I didn't expect that.
In Chad, the Gira Camel Festival is a must-see, where they race camels and celebrate the nomadic way of life. Imagine the costumes, the energy. It's like a desert rave, but with more sex.
Hey, Camel Rave? Sounds like my kind of party as long as they serve coffee, of course. Meanwhile, South Sudan has its own gems, like the Euro Cultural Festival, showcasing traditional dances, music, and local crafts. It's all about preserving their heritage, which is pretty cool.
Speaking of music, Chad's sounds are influenced by its Sahelian location. You've got traditional instruments like the kend, and artists blending modern beats with local rhythms. It's like a musical melting pot, full of surprises.
Ah, the kin sounds exotic. Over in South Sudan, music is super important for storytelling and community gatherings. Think traditional songs, dances, and like the Talmud or Ababa. It's all about keeping their cultural identity alive through art.
In Chad, you might stumble upon smaller local festivals celebrating harvests, religious holidays, or just life in general. Each region has its own unique flavor, so it's like a festival treasure hunt across the country. Wow!
Festival treasure hunt, I like the sound of that. Meanwhile, in South Sudan, community events often revolve around traditional ceremonies and rituals. It's not always about big concerts, but about connecting with their roots and celebrating together. Ah!
Of course, concerts might be rare in some areas of Chad due to infrastructure challenges. That doesn't mean the music stops. Local celebrations are where the real jams happen, impromptu performances, and everyone joining in the fun. Ooh.
True that. South Sudan faces similar challenges, but art and culture find a way. Theater groups, dance troupes, and music projects are popping up, especially in cities like Juba. It's about creativity and resilience, which is pretty inspiring.
If you're after massive concerts and huge festivals, Chad and South Sudan might not be your first stop. But if you crave authentic cultural experiences and a chance to connect with local traditions, these countries are full of hidden gems.
Bingo! It's about diving deep, being open-minded, and embracing the unexpected. Chad and South Sudan offer a chance to witness culture in its purest form. Plus, you get to tell stories that no one else has. Whoa.
Do you guys agree with us? We'd really appreciate it if you could click the like button and follow us. It's a small gesture, but it means a lot to us. Wow. It's like supporting us with a cup of coffee to keep the conversation going. So, let's make this connection official.
And for those of you who want to explore these countries further, check out JetOff AI for travel tips and resources. You might even find some local tour guides who know all the best festival spots.
Well, Leo, that was quite the journey. And as always, if you are enjoying listening to our voices, down to our voices, don't be shy to tell us you love us.
Okay, Mira. Love you too. But only if I can have some coffee.
Let's chat about languages, not that I need to learn any new dance moves from them. Actual words. Chad and South Sudan, how easy is it for folks to pick up the lingo there?
Mira, your dance moves are already a global phenomenon, Rusney. I've seen the YouTube comments. Ooh, but language-wise, you're right. It's a whole different ball game. Let's see what linguistic curvebaggles these countries throw at us.
I mean, in Chad, Arabic and French are official. But what about all those other languages floating around? Is it like trying to order coffee with only emoji?
Emoji coffee orders, I love it. But Chad's got over 120 languages. It's a linguistic jungle. Forget Duolingo, you'd need machete to hack through that.
A machete and maybe a phrase book that weighs more than a small child. Wow. I'm guessing finding formal language classes for, say, Sarake might be a tad tricky.
Tricky. It'd be like finding a decent cup of coffee in a cabaret at Miraculous. Probably a better luck hiring a local parent.
A period. I can see it now. Bonjour, Polly. Polly wants a cracker and a conjugated verb. Whoa, what about South Sudan? Is it all smooth sailing with English being official?
Smooth sailing. South Sudan has over 60 languages and English only has a tenuous hold thanks to the whole history. Ouch. The real challenge is navigating the local languages to communicate.
If you're trying to haggle for a souvenir, knowing a few phrases in Dinka or newer might be more useful than a degree in English literature.
Exactly. Forget Shakespeare, you'll need some solid Dinka vocabulary just to survive the market. How much for this slightly used goat?
Used goat is my new favorite phrase. Are there resources for these languages? Or is it all about immersion like being thrown into the deep end of a linguistic swimming pool?
Resources are scarce, Mira. You're mostly relying on good old immersion trial by fire. Baptism by consonants. Hope you're a fast learner.
No Rosetta Stone for Bari then? Sounds like you'd need to befriend Oakland, offer them endless cups of chai in exchange for language lessons. Oh.
Chai diplomacy, I like it. It's probably the most effective method. Just avoid any chai-related misunderstandings, or you might end up insulting their ancestors.
Noted, always double-check your chai etiquette. So, if you're planning a trip, download a translation app and prepare to point and gesture a lot.
Download the app, learn some basic phrases, and carry a notepad for drawing pictures. Whoa, think of it as performance art linguistic charades.
This is starting to sound like less of a language learning experience and more of an extreme sport.
It's linguistic park, our mirror. You're leaping over cultural barriers, dodging grammatical pitfalls, and hoping you stick the landing. Just don't break linguistic leg.
I'm picturing myself trying to explain the concept of podcast and topuse. This could get messy.
Messy but hilarious. Think of the YouTube views. Comedian attempts to explain modern technology to remote tribality ensues. Wow.
And I'd probably end up learning more about topose culture than they learn about podcasts. It's a win-win, really.
A win-win situation. Unless they decide your podcast explanation is some sort of ancient curse. Then you might need a witch doctor to undo the damage.
Witch doctor, paratita, chai diplomacy. I think we've just created the world's most unconventional language learning program. Aha!
It's so unconventional it just might work, Mira. Wow! Forget language schools, we're starting a linguistic adventure academy. Just bring your sense of humor and a lot of patience.
Alright, let's dive into a topic that's super important, especially for our lady listeners' safety and comfort for women travelers in Chad and South Sudan. It's a bit of a sensitive subject, but let's handle it with care, okay?
Okay, Mira, so Chad and South Sudan. Dude, even the names sound like they're about to throw you into an adventure movie gone wrong. But seriously, let's keep it real about what women might face traveling there.
For Chad, you'll often hear that while it's visually stunning, you need to be extra cautious due to political instability and the risk of petty theft. Wow, what's been your take, Leo?
I mean, it's not exactly Barcelona, is it? Oh, Chad has some areas we wouldn't want to stroll alone at night or flash expensive gear, especially if you're a woman. It's just being smart, plain and simple.
Well, it's even trickier given the ongoing conflicts and humanitarian crises. Safety can be a real concern.
Whoa, South Sudan is like the poster child for proceed with the XTREME caution. It's still recovering, and that means basic safety nets are stretched thin, especially for vulnerable groups.
Cultural attitudes play a big role too. In Chad, more conservative values might affect how women are perceived, especially if they're traveling solo. What have you heard?
I've heard that sticking to local customs shows respect and can make a difference in how you eat read it. Let's be real, blending and only goes so far if someone's looking to cause trouble.
And in South Sudan, the emphasis on survival and stability, social norms might not be top of mind for everyone.
South Sudan is like survival mode activated. If you're a woman, you need to be extra aware of your surroundings and not rely on cultural norms for protection.
Personal experiences also vary. Some women report feeling safe and welcome, especially when they engage with locals respectfully. But sadly, that's not always the case.
I read one story where a woman traveler felt really protected by a local family who looked out for her, but then another story was like a horror movie. It just goes to show you, experiences vary a lot.
Harassment statistics are hard to come by in these regions, but anecdotal evidence suggests that it's definitely a concern. Ouch.
Statistics are not, no woman wants to feel unsafe. Period. So if there's even a hint of a risk, it's worth taking it seriously.
What are some things women travelers can do to stay safe?
Travel in groups, especially if it's your first time. There's strength in numbers, plus you can share the load of being vigilant.
Dressing modestly can help minimize unwanted attention.
Yeah, and respect local traditions. Wow, it's like a basic rule for traveling anywhere, really.
Booking reputable tour operators is also essential. They know the safest routes and can provide security.
Spending a little extra on a legit tour guide is totally worth it for peace of mind.
What about being aware of local laws and customs regarding women?
Dude, that's not negotiable. If you don't know the rules, you're playing a dangerous game.
And communication. Learning a few basic phrases in the local language can go a long way. Ooh.
Even if you just manage a hello or thank you, it shows you're trying. And people appreciate that.
So, overall, what's the takeaway for women travelers heading to Chad or South Sudan?
Keep your wits about you, do your homework, and listen to your gut. If something feels off, it probably is.
Couldn't agree more. Safety and comfort are paramount, and a little extra caution can make all the difference.
No joke, South Sudan and Chad, unfortunately, might require a bit more planning and awareness. Oh!
Alright, let's wrap up this discussion. Thanks for sharing your insights, Leo.
Anytime, Mira. Just stay safe, folks. And if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and like and subscribe.
Alright, Leo. So legal system and individual rights. And freedoms in Chad and South Sudan. Seems like a heavy topic, but hey, we can still sprinkle some humor, right? I mean, everyone loves a good courtroom drama.
Courtroom drama? Emira? More like a courtroom comedy of errors sometimes. But seriously, it's important. People want to know if they can, speak their mind without ending up in a burlap sack.
So, Chad's legal system, well, it's based on French civil law, but with a dash of, shall we say, Chadian spice? Boom.
French civil law, with Chadian spice. Sounds like it could be anything from mostly functional to held together with good intentions and duct tape. Is there a constitution at least?
There is a constitution, yes, but the enforcement, that's where things get a bit wobbly. Freedom of speech, for example, is technically guaranteed, but criticizing the government, that can get tricky. It's like walking a tightrope made of spaghetti.
Spaghetti tightrope. Perfect analogy, Mira. So, technically USCA and speak freely, but maybe USHOULD and speak freely, but maybe USHOULD until arrangement. What about South Sudan? Is it any better?
Well, South Sudan's legal system is even more complicated. Wow, it's a mix of formal law inherited from Sudan, customary law, and even some religious law thrown in for good measure. It's like a legal gumbo, a little bit of everything.
Illegal gumbo. Sounds flavorful, but potentially indigestible. Whoa, so a constitution, I presume? Does it actually, work? Or is it more like a suggestion box that nobody ever checks?
They have a constitution, and it looks great on paper, promising all sorts of rights and freedoms. Ooh, but South Sudan is still recovering from years of conflict, so putting those promises into practice is a massive challenge. Think of it as trying to bake a cake in the middle of a hurricane.
Baking a cake in a hurricane. Baking a cake in a hurricane. I love it. So high aspirations, but challenging realities. What about something fundamental, like the right to a fair trial?
Fair trials are aspirational, let's say. They're supposed to happen, but corruption, lack of resources, and political interference. They make it tough. It's like trying to play chess with a pigeon.
Chess with a pigeon. The pigeon just knocks over the pieces and poops on the board. Right, got it. So both countries are a bit shaky on the individual rights front then.
Yes, in both Chad and South Sudan, Things like freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, they're often restricted in practice. Protesting the government, risky business. Criticizing those in power, not exactly encouraged.
Right. So we're planning a political rally. Best to check with absolutely everyone first. Whoa! And maybe have a really good excuse ready. Is it safe to say that human rights organizations are having a field day?
They are. Groups like Amnesty International and Human Rights, which are constantly documenting abuses, advocating for reforms, and trying to hold governments accountable. Well, it's a tough job, but someone's got to do it.
Absolutely. And I imagine access to information is a bit of a challenge. Are journalists allowed to do their job, or are they constantly looking over their shoulder?
Journalism is a dangerous profession in both countries. Wow. Journalists face harassment, intimidation, and even violence. It's like being a tightrope walker while someone's throwing rocks at you.
Another tightrope? You really love those, Mira. Right. Dangerous work. So, what about access to justice for the average citizen? Can people actually get help if they're wrong?
Access to justice is a major problem. Courts are understaffed, underfunded, and often located far away from where people live. Corruption is also a huge obstacle. It's like trying to climb a mountain made of butter.
A butter mountain. Slippery slope to injustice indeed. So, if you're poor rural, or just not politically connected, you're pretty much out of luck.
Especially for women in marginalized groups. They face even greater barriers to accessing justice. It's like trying to win a race when you're starting 10 miles behind everyone else.
And since we're on the topic of women, are there any laws protecting women's rights? Or is it still a bit of a man's world, legally speaking?
There are some laws aimed at protecting women, but implementation is weak. Things like domestic violence, sexual assault, they're often underreported and under-prosecuted. It's like trying to put out a fire with a water pistol.
Ouch. A water pistol versus a raging inferno. Grim, what about customary law? Does that help or hurt the situation?
Customary law can be a mixed bag. On one hand, it can provide a way to resolve disputes at the local level. But on the other hand, it can also perpetuate discriminatory practices, especially against women.
So, tradition versus progress. A classic conflict. And I suppose corruption is a problem at every level?
Corruption is rampant, yes. It affects everything from the police to the judiciary to government contracts. It's like trying to build a house on quicksand.
A house on quicksand. It just keeps sinking no matter what you do. So, what's being done to improve things? Any glimmers of hope?
There are some efforts to strengthen the legal systems, train judges and lawyers, and promote human rights awareness. But progress is slow and uneven. It's like trying to turn around a massive oil tanker with a kayak.
A kayak and an oil tanker. That visual pretty much sums it up. So, bottom line, both Chad and South Sudan have a long way to go when it comes to legal systems, individual rights, and freedoms.
It's a situation, but raising awareness, supporting human rights organizations, and advocating for reforms. Those are all steps in the right direction. Wow.
Absolutely. And maybe a good courtroom comedy or two to lighten the mood. Thanks for the rundown, Mira. I think people got a clear, is slightly depressing picture.
Even serious topics need a little laughter, right? Oh, and hey, maybe if we keep talking about these issues, someone in power will actually start listening.
One can always hope. Maybe next time we should talk about puppies. To lighten the soul, you know.
Puppies sound amazing. And that's it for tuning in, everyone. Be sure to check out Gentle Fate for more episodes and articles on these important topics.
And if you liked our terrible jokes and slightly more informed commentary, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and subscribe. We appreciate the support, and it lets us afford more coffee.
All right, Leo. Let's dive into the world of relaxation. Today, we're comparing Chad and South Sudan when it comes to spas, healthy living, and, well, opportunities to just chill. Ready to get how zen on?
Should be in... I'm picturing more survival mode than spotty. I'm picturing more survival mode than spotty. That's hey, but surprise me, Mira.
Oh, 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 A. Okay. Any luxurious spas isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind. But let's talk about what is available and how people find their relaxation. You know, thinking positive.
Fair enough. We're talking about resourcefulness and finding peace where you can, right? So, what's the Chad take? I'm guessing it's less about hot stone massages and more about...
Chad's got this incredible natural beauty, like Lake Chad itself. For some, a day spent fishing on the lake is the ultimate relaxation. It's all about connecting with nature, you know.
Lake Chad fishing sounds surprisingly idyllic, minus the potential for, crocodiles. Okay, South Sudan, step up. What natural wonders are they using to unwind?
Sudan has the sun, one of the largest wetlands in the world. Imagine exploring that by boat, watching the birds, and just soaking up the peace. It's a different kind of spa, a nature spa. Wow!
Oh, okay. I'm starting to see the angle. Trading mud wraps for mud. Well, just mud. So these are more like DIY relaxation strategies. Are there any actual wellness initiatives? Or is it all about rugged survival?
Well, let's talk about healthy living. In both countries, there's a growing awareness of traditional medicine. People use local herbs and plants for healing and relaxation. It's a holistic approach that's been around for centuries.
So, herbal remedies and traditional practices are the go-to wellness strategies. Any chance they've got on to yoga or meditation as budget-friendly stress relievers?
You know, it might be a bit harder to find a yoga studio, but community is huge. Gathering with family and friends, sharing stories, singing, those are essential for well-being. It's about finding joy in simple things.
Okay, I'm getting a sense of the resilience and resourcefulness here. It's not about pampering in a fancy spa, but about finding strength and connection in community.
And you know, sometimes just surviving and making it through the day is relaxation. In a way, it's about appreciating the small moments of peace you can find.
True. Maybe our listeners picturing a spa day need to adjust their expectations. It's about a different kind of reset, a different kind of escape. But not jet off AI. Here's where people can find happiness.
So, if you are looking for more affordable options, Chad and South Sudan might be the place. If you like it, you can like it.
Well, after the broadcast, you can look at our YouTube page, write your comments. Ooh, if you are okay with it, do not forget to click the like button and follow us.
Yes. Alright, Leo, let's dive into something a bit deeper: opportunities for religious and spiritual needs in Chad and South Sudan. Ready for a soul-searching adventure?
Soul-searching adventure? Eh? Sounds like less coffee and more well. What does people do to search their souls?
Thinking about Chad, it's predominantly Muslim, but there's also a significant Christian population. You find mosques and churches existing side by side, which is kind of beautiful, right? Oh.
True, Mira. But doesn't mean it's all sunshine and rainbows. Officially, Chad's a secular state, but religious tensions do pop up. It's not always a smooth ride.
But you still have that sense of religious diversity, at least in the capital, MDJ, Amina. People generally seem pretty open about their faith.
Yeah, if you stick to the big cities, you're probably alright. But venture out a bit and religious freedom gets a bit more like religious suggestion.
Well, speaking of venturing out, let's hop over to South Sudan. It's a much younger country, and Christianity plays a huge role in people's lives. Wow.
That's for sure. You could throw a rock in Juba and hit a church. Not that I recommend that for obvious reasons, but religion dominates everything in South Sudan.
It's almost like the heart and soul of the country, especially given all the challenges they've faced. I've heard some amazing gospel choirs there.
Mere other challenges are so severe that any choir sounds amazing in comparison. But the religious divisions in South Sudan can fuel conflicts, so not everything's harmonious.
Um, so it's complicated. But given that Christianity is so dominant, do you think there's less space for other religions or spiritual practices?
Well, let's just say that if you were a Wiccan looking for a coven, South Sudan would be pretty low on your list. It's not the most tolerant environment for non-Christian faiths.
So, maybe not the best place for a drum circle under the moonlight. But what about traditional African religions? Do they still have a presence in either country?
In Chad, definitely. Even with Islam and Christianity, traditional beliefs are woven into the fabric of daily life. People visit traditional healers and participate in age-old rituals. It's all mixed up.
It's fascinating. It's like a spiritual melting pot. So even if it's not explicitly talked about, it's still there influencing.
It's there but more underground. But in South Sudan, traditional religions took a bigger hit with the rise of Christianity, even though they haven't completely vanished.
Makes sense. And what about access to religious education? Are there opportunities for people to study their faith, whatever it may be?
Chad's got Koranic schools and Christian seminaries, but resources are stretched thin. South Sudan, less formal education, more learning from the community and religious leaders. Wow.
So, it's more about oral tradition and passing down knowledge that way. That's pretty powerful in its own right. Aha!
Yeah, but it also makes it harder to maintain accuracy or adapt to modern contexts. It has its pros and cons.
Okay, so if someone were looking for a place to really immerse themselves in their faith, which country would you recommend? Based purely on spiritual opportunity.
If you're Christian, South Sudan, hands down. It's a religious experience overload. But if you want diversity and a bit more freedom, Chad might be a better bet, as long as you're cool with some tension.
Tension can be a good thing, creatively speaking, right? I mean, all the best stories come from conflict.
Mira, that's a comedian's take on religious freedom. But hey, it's Chad off, eh? We give the people what they want. So, like and subscribe. And we will see you next time. Oh!
And remember, whichever path you choose, always remember to pack a sense of humor. You never know when you'll need it. Today, we're jumping into social equality, respect for minorities, and diversity. It's a big topic. But hey, someone's got to do it, right?
Mira, you make it sound like we're volunteering for a root canal. But yeah, social equality and diversity, it's like trying to make a perfectly balanced cup of coffee. Sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it's bitter.
Oh, I like that analogy, Leo. Speaking of coffee, I had a crazy thought. What if we opened a coffee shop that only hires people from different minority groups? We'd call it Diversity Brews.
Diversity brews? I can already picture the Yelp reviews. Great coffee, but the baristas kept trying to sell me on their political views.
Okay, maybe we'll stick to podcasting. But seriously, let's talk about Chad and South Sudan. What's the vibe like in these places when it comes to equality?
Well, Mira, Chad and South Sudan are like those two friends who always mean well but somehow manage to trip over each other's feet. Ouch. Both countries have a ton of ethnic groups, which sounds great on paper, but
it's a bit more complicated in real life. I know what you mean. It's not always sunshine on rainbows when you've got a bunch of different cultures trying to coexist.
Exactly. It's like hosting a potluck where everyone brings a dish, but nobody reads the ingredient list. Oops, you're bound to have some clashes.
What are some of the main challenges they face? Is it mostly about ethnicity? Or are there other factors at play?
Well, Mira, it's like a complicated recipe. Ethnicity is a big ingredient, but you also gotta throw in stuff like access to resources, political power, and historical grievances.
Tell me more, Leo. I always find history super fascinating. Wow, it's like the backstory to a movie. It helps you understand why the characters are acting the way they are.
Think of it like this. Mira, South Sudan fought for independence from Sudan for decades, right? So, there's already a built-in tension between different groups who might have sided with different sides during the conflict.
Oh, that's a good point. It's hard to just forget the past, especially when it's still affecting people's lives today. So, what about Chad? Is it a similar situation there? Wow.
Chad also has a bunch of different ethnic and religious groups, and there's a history of conflict between them. Plus, you've got the whole North-South divide, with different groups vying for power.
It's like a never-ending game of tug-of-war, isn't it? So, what are they doing to try and promote social equality and respect for minorities? Are there any initiatives or policies in place?
Well, Mira, it's like trying to build a house on shaky ground. Both countries have constitutions that guarantee equality and protect minority rights, but actually enforcing those laws is a whole other story.
It always sounds good on paper, doesn't it? I was just about to ask that, but the reality on the ground is often very different. So, what are some of the specific challenges they face in terms of implementation?
Corruption, weak institutions, lack of resources. It's like trying to run a marathon with your shoelaces tied together.
That's a great analogy, Leah. It's hard to get anywhere when you're constantly being held back. But what about the people themselves? Are there any grassroots movements or organizations working to promote equality?
Absolutely, Mira. There are tons of local groups working to bridge divides, promote dialogue, and advocate for minority rights. They're like the unsung heroes of these countries.
I love hearing about that. It's always inspiring to see people taking action and trying to make a difference in their communities. So, what can we learn from Chad and South Sudan in terms of social equality and diversity?
Well, Mira, it's like learning a new language. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to make mistakes. Both countries are still on that journey, but they're making progress, even if it's slow.
Still progress is still progress. Speaking of journeys, if you like this discussion, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more episodes. If you like it, you can like it.
And if you're feeling extra generous, head over to Jet Off AI. They're the ones making this podcast possible, and they've got all sorts of interesting stuff about travel and culture.
So true. That promoting social equality and diversity is not just the responsibility of governments or organizations, it's up to each and every one of us.
Exactly, Mira. It's like making a conscious effort to be a better human being. And who knows, maybe we can even inspire a few people along the way.
You're so right, Leo. Alright, thanks. All the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Catch you later, folks. Remember, a little bit of humor can go a long way in bridging divides. Peace out.
Let's dive into the nitty-gritty of taxes, retirements, and social rights in Chad and South Sudan for our long-term immigrant friends. Ready to untangle this bureaucratic web?
Untangling bureaucratic webs is my specialty, Mira right after brewing a perfectly sarcastic joke. Taxation retirement sounds like a comedian's gold mine of suffering. Ooh, where do we even start with these two?
Well, starting with Chad, the tax system is, shall we say, developing. It's not as straightforward as, say, bordering across Ant in Paris.
Developing, huh? So, like, still figuring out what tax even means? That's prime observational material, Mira jotting that down.
I wouldn't go that far, Leo. They have income tax, corporate tax, VAT. The usual suspects. But the implementation can be a bit adventurous.
Adventures as in good luck actually collecting it. Sounds like a tax system where the rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Essentially, for long-term immigrants, it's vital to get clued in on the local tax laws. Ignorance is definitely not bliss in this scenario.
Agreed. Imagine moving to Chad and then getting a surprise tax bill the size of a small car. Ouch, sarcasm aside, that's crucial intel, Mira.
Now, when we talk about South Sudan, things get even more nuanced. South Sudan's a young country, still building its institutions.
Nuanced, I see. Code for we're still figuring it out as we go along. That's like their entire nation is in beta.
The tax system is still evolving, and enforcement can be challenging. Whoa! It's a work in progress.
A work in progress, which is putting it mildly. I'm picturing tax collectors chasing after goats. Okay, I'm exaggerating.
Perhaps a little, but it's essential to be aware of the situation on the ground. It's very fluid.
Fluid like a freshly poured cocktail that someone spilled? But seriously, check the official sources, folks. You have been warned.
Moving on to retirement. For long-term immigrants in Chad, there isn't a comprehensive social security system like you'd find in Europe.
So, no cozy retirement villages with bingo nights? That's gonna change some people's plans.
Not exactly, Leo. There's a national social security fund, but it's more geared towards formal sector employees. Ooh, for immigrants, it's often about personal savings and investments.
Personal savings? In this economy? Okay, even I can't joke about that. So, basically, plan ahead way ahead.
Retirement benefits are, again, developing. The formal social security system is in its infancy.
So, like, infancy? So, like, still crawling around in diapers? Okay, I'll stop. Point is, don't I?
Immigrants often rely on family support, community networks, and personal resources. Wow, it's a very traditional approach.
Which sounds lovely in theory, but not exactly reliable in practice. Sorry, I'm cynical. But hey, be prepared, people.
Indeed. When it comes to social rights, as Chad and South Sudan face significant challenges. Healthcare, education, and other services can be limited.
Limited as in you might need to bring your own doctor and textbooks. Okay, I'm hamming it up. But seriously, do your own work.
Access to these rights often depends on residency status, employment, and contribution to the social security system. Wow, it's not always a given.
Not a given, got it. Basically, jump through all the hoops you can find. Or maybe bring a ladder.
And not forget the importance of understanding local customs and traditions. Integrating successfully often depends on respecting cultural norms.
Cultural norms. That's where I come in. I can write you a whole comedy routine on that subject.
Leo. But seriously, understanding local customs and traditions can definitely help immigrants navigate social rights more effectively.
Agreed, Mira. Don't be the coolest tourist who insults the local deity. That never ends well. Trust me, I've been there, ooh.
Alright, let's emphasize this. For immigrants, knowing local laws is a crucial point.
Absolutely, nothing is funnier than accidentally breaking the law. Unless you are a comedian. So do your research, people.
So to sum up, taxation, retirement, and social rights for long-term immigrants in Chad and South Sudan can be complex. But if you follow all of our ideas, you will have fun.
Just make sure to bring a good lawyer, sense of humor, and a whole lot of patience. And coffee. Don't forget the coffee.
Our current topic. Let's compare the range of meeting specific interests in Chad and South Sudan. From niche hobby clubs to specialized events and community engagement, we bring perspectives today.
Chad and South Sudan. Sounds like a geography quiz from grade school. All right, Mira. Let's see how these two stack up. Hope there's more to it than just sand and, more sand.
Oh, Leo, you are such a travel snob. Come on, there's so much more. It's about finding your tribe right? Let's start with something broad. What about sports? Ooh.
Sports, huh? In that part of the world, I bet it's mostly survival sports. Like, how fast can you outrun a lion? Ouch! Seriously though, probably soccer. Lots of soccer.
But don't underestimate them. They have wrestling too. It's not WWA, but it's got a lot of tradition. It's not just all about sand. It's an important part of their culture. Did you know that?
Wrestling in the Sahara sounds hot and sweaty. Though I guess it's good exercise if you're trying to wrestle a camel. But hey, points for cultural depth.
And community life is important. It's about storytelling, and music is often spontaneous, so if you are a musician or a poet, there are options for you. I guess.
Storytelling and spontaneous music sounds like my kind of jam session, but seriously, that's cool. Less about organized clubs, more about organic vibes.
What about those interested in something like, let's say, technology or coding? It might be harder to find those meetups, but I'm sure there are people trying to connect.
Tech in a place where electricity is a luxury? Now that's niche. Probably a few determined souls rigging up solar panels and teaching each other Python.
Solar-powered coding meetups. I love that. Wow. But yeah, maybe not as many opportunities. Though who knows? Maybe someone is inventing an improved laptop as we speak.
Ace and proof laptop. Dude, patent that idea. Speaking of niche, what about, like, medieval reenactment societies? Think of LARPing and chainmail under the blazing sun?
Oh my god. Leo, you're killing me. Imagine trying to find a suit of armor in Chad. It'd be like Indiana Jones. Okay, maybe not that niche. But, maybe not that niche.
Wow, so, if your specific interest is suffering in full-plate armor in 120-degree heat, Chad might just be your place. Everyone else, maybe stick to sports or storytelling.
Let's not be totally dismissive. What about community lead initiatives? Those count. Like local farming projects alls.
Community projects. Yeah, that's where it's at. Ooh, in places facing serious challenges, that's how people connect, learn, and build something together. Way more meaningful than a stamp collecting club.
It's not about what you have, it's about what you do, right? So maybe Chad and South Sudan are less about specific interests and more about shared needs.
Shared needs, bingo. So if your specific interest is making a difference in the world, then both those places offer serious opportunity. You'll be a superhero in flip-flops.
We got there in the end. So, maybe it's not about finding a prepackaged hobby, but about creating your own community? Ooh.
Creating your own community sounds pretty awesome. Like a DIY interest group. Instead of book club, it's how to build a well club.
How to build a well club. I love it, so if you're looking for ready-made niche hobbies, maybe look elsewhere. But if you're up for adventure and making a real impact,
You might just find that Chad and South Sudan are more interesting than your average tourist trap. They're definitely gonna give you some stories to tell. Just, try not to reenact medieval battles while you're there, okay?
no promises. This was a fun one, Leo. But I think that wraps it up. Until next time, keep those interests interesting.
Absolutely. And remember, even if you're interested in the absurd, try to be helpful. Just a little. Maybe. See ya.